Today, I wanted to take some time to talk about the Donald. And the reason we want to talk about the Donald is because he's engaged in so many impeachable offenses. I'd like to start enumerating some of them. And we can't even hope that the government will impeach him because the government is entirely corrupted. But my actual goal with you here watching this is that by the end of it, you feel more urgency in terms of revolution, and also you understand a little bit more in terms of the mechanics of revolution, which I want to talk more about. You see, you don't have to go out today with a firearm against a superior foe. But what we do have to do is build over time, co-locate, protect our communities, know and respect each other offline, and grow in our numbers so that when the moment is upon us, together we stop feeding our tax dollar into a machine that only knows murder. Together we stop the credit system entirely. Together we stop the tyrants that rule over us and do it all at once. Shout out to the very first person coming in supporting the work. Shout out to Nicaragua Saint writes, took off the chains of Britain to put on new chains. You ain't never lied. Okay, that's the only person supporting. And for those of you who at some point may choose to support the work, you can use the banner or the link in the description. As we go through, if you have anything you'd like to add, feel free to send it over. I'm going to one by one go through all of the posts that maybe not all of them. It depends. If you guys are supporting and you're interested, we'll carry on. If you all are not, then we'll just stop it per your decision. But what I want to do is go through all of the posts. And I've been trying to save them as his presidency has gone on. And frankly, it's gone on longer than it should. And where it makes sense, we'll have some discussion and we'll have a little bit of analysis. Let's go ahead and get to this work. Very first one. Trump cancels $80 million refund to Americans who were illegally overcharged by big banks. Now, this one should get you mad because banks already have all the money now, don't they? And then they steal your money. The government's role is to have consumer protections. And if the government fails to have consumer protections, it's like, well, what are they here for? The government's supposed to make your life easier. When the government hits you with high taxes, when the government drives inflation, it makes your working hours less meaningful because you're not earning much. And then on top of that, they allow the big banks that don't need the money to engage in criminal activity and steal from you, the citizen, the voter. And the worst part about it is that they know what was done was illegal and they still let them go free. Now ask yourself, for those who are not banksters and those who are not on the Epstein list, aka our government, how often do they let you guys get away with crimes? I tell you, I was in Florida. I was in a 2-hour parking zone. I parked 2 hours and 7 minutes. I had to pay $40 that I already paid for the 2 hours. Then I had to pay a $150 fine, 7 minutes over, parking on a public street that I pay taxes to pave. Huh? The level of corruption, of criminality from your government is unreal. The details. The Consumer Financial Protection Bureau under Donald Trump has dismissed a case against the Navy Federal Credit Union. Now, here's a kicker, and this is why it's important to go and get information from the right places. You probably thought that a credit union, we're all a part of the union. Credit unions are not as predatory as commercial banks. That's what you were taught. Probably your mother even said that. Join a credit union. They have better interest rates. Join a credit union. They're not going to nickel and dime you. In what world? And ironically, this one is branded for the Navy, the fighting forces of the United States of America. You'd think they'd have more integrity wearing the title of a branch of military that is supposed to represent valor, discipline, and protection of the citizen. And their behavior is quite opposite of that. Another thing you should pay attention to and know for sure, this is definitely happening. Know for sure. I have 250,000 subscribers. This video is only being pushed out to about 1% of my following. It's impossible for just 170 people to be watching. It's impossible. I could have posted a video about, pulling the the pieces of salt off of a cracker and more people would tune in. You should know that this video is being suppressed because it's about the failings of Donald Trump. You also must know that the entire tech industry and media industry is under control of the United States government. And this is not new. Barack Obama did it. Joe Biden did it. This is the way of the American government. They are all the same, ladies and saints. You will find no difference among them. Navy Federal Credit Union, which has been penalized for charging illegal overdraft fees. Now, let me tell you what was crazy. And this is between 2017 to 2022. That's 5 years of cheating, robbing, and stealing with no consequence. But you know what's so utterly bizarre? I'll tell you what's so utterly bizarre. It's like how they take so long to find out when public companies or large corporations should have some kind of financial disclosures. They should have quarterly, maybe annual reports, for example. Yes, if you have a business, you have to publish an annual report. Very strange. Took 5 years to catch it. The previous settlement required Navy Federal to pay $15 million in fines and refund $80 million. Now, that's a lot of money to steal from hardworking people. But I tell you what's even more disgusting about what they did. An overdraft fee is for people who do not have money in their account. So think about the bizarre nature of American capitalism, the white man's capitalism. I'm not against capitalism. I'm pro-capitalism, ethical capitalism. But this is truly sick when you think about it. You take someone who does not have enough money and they try to buy something, whether they're aware or not, they're just trying to get by. And I've been there. They swipe that card, maybe it swipes, and they get to purchase whatever $20, $30 item, and it overdraws their account. And the bank allows them to overdraw their account. And they had to do that because obviously they had no alternative. So this person who is in financial disrepair purchases what was probably a necessity, and it overdrew their account, which means it instantly created a debt. And on top of that debt, on top of that poverty, the bank stacked a charge. And not only was it an additional burden for a person already struggling, it was an illegal additional burden on top of a person that was already struggling. In an economy that's inflationary because of your government. Your government makes the dollar you work for less valuable. Then they tax the dollar that you did work for. And then when you run out of dollars, because the government has arranged the society so that both the mom and the dad have to work, which is bizarre, and then they still barely make ends meet. And when your account starts to get low and you make that purchase you shouldn't have made, then the bank becomes predatory. Now, here's the kicker. The original idea of banks was maybe to help you and I store significant sums of money, yes, that you don't want sitting around at your house so that it's safe. But now the bank has become problematic, hasn't it? You put your money in there and they charge you to get it out. Yes. You put your money in there, you think you're making interest, but the interest doesn't keep up with inflation. You put your money in there, you almost never get interest payments. And if you do, what is it? 12 cents? Curious. Truly sick. Truly sick. But the Bureau, and when it says Bureau, it's referring to the very Bureau that is supposed to protect you. The Consumer Financial Protection Bureau under Donald Trump. It's called the Consumer Financial Protection. Consumer Protection. But the Bureau, now led by Project 2025 author Russell Vought, has rescinded that agreement without clear explanation. Wow, that is truly demonic. And you see, me personally, I am not into handouts. I'm not into freebies. I don't think that we owe anyone anything. Let people get on themselves. Let their family take care of them. Let their tribe and community take care of them. But you don't kick people when they're down. You don't make people who are struggling struggle harder. That's evil. And the way these devils have organized this society, it's one where everyday people really can't make it. You can be honest and you can be hardworking and still not be able to make it. That's what they've organized. On to the next. A reminder that Marco Rubio's brother-in-law was a prolific cocaine cowboy. Yeehaw! And this is not surprising. The entire government is criminal. And we have no control. Democracy is a slogan. It's a fiction. It's a lie. It's a marketing piece of marketing collateral. Democracy is not real because you never get to vote on anything that matters. You don't get to vote on if we go to war. You don't get to vote on if we should have property taxes or if they should just stay stable at the very least. You don't get to vote on anything that matters. You get to vote for people to represent you, but invariably those people almost never represent you and they lie to you. And we're in a country where there's no penalty for lying, even among law enforcement. Now that's bizarre. The idea that the police and the Federal Bureau of Investigation, the Central Intelligence Agency, the military, they can lie to citizens with zero consequence. Now here's the weird part. If you lie back to them, you're accused of perjury. You're lying on the stand. You're lying to a federal agent. You're lying to the police. These are all punishable offenses. So if we have a situation whereby the government is supposed to be the upholder of morality, I mean, and they must because they enforce the laws, and you would think the laws are based on the shared ethics and beliefs of the people, then why is it that our government is legally allowed to lie? If anything, it should be that the government is not allowed to lie, whereas the citizen is. But it is not that way. One moment. Let's see. Shout out to Mr. Chambliss, came in supporting the work. He writes, it's time to put a stop to this plague. I agree. Good people should be put in for a change. It's time for us to make good things happen. It's time for the assassin. Absolutely. And the jokesters, I don't want them around me. The people who aren't serious, I absolutely do not want them around me. You know, some people, I don't know if their life has no meaning, but they think that complaining on the internet is a hobby. That's not a hobby. Like, for example, I like to box, I like to fence, I like to fly airplanes. Those are hobbies. Complaining on the internet is not a hobby. Shout out to Pawan, writes, peace to the Saints tuition, came in via Venmo. I appreciate you. I also acknowledge via PayPal. I acknowledge Jamal. He writes, for the Sierra Leone video. Thank you. I appreciate that. That's good to know that some people enjoyed that. Small, little known country. Shout out to Mr. Gardner, writes, peace to the Saints tuition. Had the pleasure of seeing Mr. Gardner this morning. And one thing you guys might not know is we are a highly organized group here at the Assassin. The last 2 days, myself and the leadership team from around the world, we met in the morning, primarily to make sure that we can serve you guys. If you ever have any issue or challenge or need customer service stuff, talk to your executive in your region and they'll bring it to the meeting. We'll make sure we get you taken care of. May I also acknowledge via PayPal. Miles writes, peace to the Saints. Thank you for the stream, Mr. Burton. How should we participate going forward in the election process, or should we not? We should absolutely participate, but just know that it might be a fraud. And the truth of the matter is that in addition to participating, we have to see if we can get our own people in office. And not only is it in elected office, it's also in appointed office, and it's also in meaningful positions in government, from policing all the way through to councilmen, you name it, school board. Those are all important positions to inhabit. The political structure is much more than that which you can vote on. And I thank you for asking that. Miles writes, this boy Trump has done one of the biggest bait and switches in political history. I agree wholeheartedly. And it's those who are petty and foolish who are obsessed with who voted for Trump. It doesn't matter who voted for him. What matters is where we are today and what we have to do to fix things. Going backwards in time is of no value unless your only goal is to blame people who have no more power than you do. Shout out to, and this one came in much earlier, shout out to Travis. He writes, poppycock from the live stream earlier. I was doing a little bit of fencing. May I also acknowledge Dimitri. He writes, tuition. Shout out to Dimitri. It's been a pleasure to know the name and faces of many of the saints. So, the funny thing about the United States government is that they've really not changed in terms of morality. It's always been a case where they portray themselves as like one nation under God, but in actual fact, it's a mafia. And the reason that we know it is because things like this: Marco Rubio's brother. While Trump deports immigrants for old drug charges, Rubio's brother-in-law was the front man of a drug trafficking operation. As the Trump administration deports immigrants and strips them of their green cards for decades-old minor drug offenses. Now, this is the weird thing. Now, me personally, I'm totally against illegal immigration. I really am against it. But there are ethical ways to deal with problematic situations in the present. And the truth of the matter is that if someone had a drug, and I hate drugs. I've never used drugs. I don't use alcohol. I don't even consume caffeine. But all the same, the idea that someone had a marijuana charge 30 years ago, now I don't respect them. I don't respect marijuana. I don't respect marijuana usage or users. But they had a marijuana charge 30 years ago, and you're using that as a pretext to deport them out of the country is just very dishonest. And all it is a cloak for racism. Here's your reminder that Marco Rubio's brother-in-law was one of Miami's notorious cocaine cowboys. He served 12 years in federal prison for his role in a $75 million trafficking ring after he immigrated from Cuba into Miami. And it goes through all of the details. And the weird thing, though, is like he's not being deported, right? It's like if we're going to deport these people, go and get Marco Rubio's relative. But that's what the government has become. It is exactly what they claim the African governments are. It's exactly what they claim the Latin American governments are, which is to say a banana republic that is wildly corrupt, where you pay for play and you make sure that your family and your cronies are exalted above all others. There's no fairness. And in actual fact, all of the laws are a farce that are designed to control the poor and those who are disconnected. That's it.
Epstein file details, Mr. President, 4,725 wire transfers. Let me repeat that. 4,725 wire transfers, adding up to nearly $1.1 billion flowing in and out of just one of Mr. Epstein's bank accounts. If you ask me, that is more than 4,000 potential lines of investigation right there. Hundreds of millions more flowed through other accounts. That's even a lot more to investigate. The file shows that Mr. Epstein used multiple Russian banks, which are now under sanctions, to process payments related to sex trafficking. A lot of the women and girls he targeted came from Russia, Belarus, Turkey, and elsewhere. Treasury's Epstein file details, Mr. President,
what people don't realize is that Jeffrey Epstein was arrested multiple times in the United States, and that even after he was convicted of doing things that none of us would want to do with a minor, he was still included and respected in high society in America, which only validates many of what people have called conspiracy theories that our ruling class is demonic. And it is not only the people who you view as super high up that are demonic, it's also the YouTube elite that are demonic. It's also the Black Congressional Caucus that's demonic. It's all of the people that are doing well are probably demonic. Yes, indeed. And I'll tell you why, because it's like a club. It's like a club. That's why certain personality types you just don't observe reaching certain heights. And that's because you have to be phony. You have to give up your identity. You have to be sexually perverted. And this is true in the YouTube space as well. I've repeated it so many times. in your manosphere space, you see that they platform LGBTQ people, which makes no sense if you're all about masculinity. There are very few things that are so opposite as true masculinity and a person who's a Skittle guzzler. Those are opposites. So how can someone teach masculinity and platform a Skittle guzzler at the same time? Huh? This individual writes, this is Project Monger. I can't comment or super chat. Did I do something to be blocked? I don't know, man. It could have been one of the moderators. It could have been someone clicked it on accident. I certainly didn't block you. I think the way to get unblocked is to send an email with your YouTube URL. That may do the trick. Shout out to Wayne. He writes, happy holidays, peace of the saints. And that does take a little bit of time. If you use this account as much, like please use this one, because I must say I am very, very busy. Shout out to Terrence, came in supporting the work using the Stripe link in the description of the video. We appreciate you. Let's keep this work going. And shout out to Mr. Monger, those who support the work. We absolutely are thankful for all of you. So what you saw with that Epstein piece is that there was overwhelming evidence, but no reaction. And we know that we can only blame you and I because the evidence is right in front of our face and they've committed the most heinous of crimes. What can be more heinous than abusing our children? And then we let it happen. As evil as we can say that the Epstein class is, we must also look at ourselves and know that we lack manliness because we've done nothing. And at some level, you can understand why we lack manliness because of the atrazine that's in the pesticides and the sick things they do to our food. And more of it will happen because Donald Trump is removing the regulations and the protections that keep us healthy. And he's doing this with RFK Jr., who tried to act like he knows about vaccines and he tried to act like he was going to help Americans, but now he's basically allowing our food to be poisoned. And we all know he's a plant. Marquette, why is he a plant? No one wants to listen to a damn robotic voice. He could never survive in politics. Politics is about popularity. You're appealing to the average person. He's an old guy with a gravelly robotic voice. He was selected. And again, in a democracy, you're not supposed to have dynastic politics. You're not supposed to have the Bush family, the Clinton family. You're not supposed to have the Kennedy family. You might have one person who wins, but in a country of 360 million, the chances of lightning striking twice in the same place are rare. Unlikely that one family is going to produce two persons that are qualified to be high up in government in the most advanced country in the world, unless it's unfair fundamentally and it's dynastic politics. Okay, there you go. He says a mod blocked you yesterday. Okay, well, there it is. Shout out to R. Taylor supporting the work. We appreciate you. Carrying on. And you know the funny thing too, I want to point out this guy who's a part of the government, he reminds me of a Bernie Sanders kind of character. Because Bernie Sanders is always talking about socialism this, communism that, we need free health care, and it never comes. So what I'm telling you is that these people are a part of the show. We're watching a show where there's a pretend level of adversarialism. They're not adversaries. The Democrat and the Republican are both collaborating to keep the system going. They are not enemies or opposites. They're not ideologically dissimilar. Democrat or Republican, the budget's not balanced. Democrat or Republican, the American government is on an imperialist mission. Democrat or Republican, they bow down to Israel. Democrat or Republican, they abuse minors and engage in sexual deviance. So what could be the difference? There's no difference in values. They are two heads on the same dragon, and the tragedy is that we sit back thinking that someone else is going to fix it. I want to confront you with the reality that when things were going on in Germany and Lil Buddy came out and said, Ein Reich, ein Volk, ein Führer, there were a good number of people who were like, yeah, that sounds good. And we have the same maggots today doing that. And then there are some people that are like, hang on. That doesn't seem quite right. And, you know, they didn't do enough, or they did too little too late. So undoubtedly, history repeats itself, and it must repeat itself because human nature hasn't changed. So if human nature hasn't changed, the behavior of humans won't change. There will be cycles. And my hope is that we can end this cycle of being ruled by a megalomaniac, narcissist, imbecile soon, as opposed to waiting until he crashes the country further. Carrying on.
Donald Trump had specifically asked about me because I remind him of his daughter. And she said, well, she's 13 as well.
Oh,
so
wow.
He knew the first time that he saw me. But he comes over mad because I was crying. And he said that I should be thankful that someone like Donald Trump took my virginity. He basically didn't say took my virginity. He said, I should be glad that someone like Donald Trump popped my cherry and not some pimply little 14-year-old. And I just was like, what if I said, what if I get pregnant? Not even talking to him. I didn't want to talk to him. I was talking to Tiffany. And he said, well, you'll get an abortion then, bitch. And then just walked away.
Why the Jeffrey Epstein case would be of interest to anybody. It's pretty boring stuff. It's short.
Imagine saying that the Jeffrey Epstein case is boring. Word? Let's not worry about it. It's boring. What? Shout out to Kyle. He writes, the Navy federal scam was to change the order of transactions to maximize the number of overdrafts. Whoa! Oh, that's diabolical. Oh, that's diabolical. And you know, the funny thing is people ask me, because I used to live in Vegas, they say, hey, Marquette, do you think they cheat in the casino? And I said, do I think they cheat in the casino? What do you mean, like the casino's cheating to make more money? They're like, yeah. I was like, okay, well, the purpose of a business, a corporation, is to make more money. Many casinos never see a dip in revenue during down economies. They're doing something. They're doing something. And I asked myself, if a business's goal is to increase revenue and it's as simple as rigging a game that already has unfavorable odds, then yeah, I would think that for sure I would think it'd be weird if they weren't cheating, frankly, because they have every advantage to cheat. Say it's a craps game and you can use what's called, I think it's called a glass metal, if I recall correctly. It's a glass metal. It's an alloy that is see-through. And there's various other things you could do. And all the tables are electronic. Even though the craps table looks like it's not electronic, they all have electricity running through them. Generally, you can tell because the part that shows you the minimum and maximum bet is lit up. And there's a lot of infrastructure underneath that board. And mind you, I used to own a 14-foot craps table in my high rise in Hollywood years ago. So yeah, for sure. If you've taken Boss University, I give you a lot of gems on that. If you've taken the Book of Dark Truths, I give you a lot of gems. What Kyle just shared, and oh yeah, by the way, this was a bowler alert. Shout out to the bowlers, came in at the $100 level. This is just really devious, and I hope you guys are tracking what it said. He said the Navy federal scam was to change the order of transactions to maximize overdrafts that occurred in your account. Wow, that is devious. And he gives an example. I appreciate this. If you had 5 transactions and money for 4, they would allow the largest to process first, so the other 4 would also overdraft. Whoo, that's cold, that's cold, that's cold. And at that point, you'd have to ask yourself, well, what is a bank good for? What is the use of a bank? If I put my money in, and I keep losing money when you're supposed to be holding my money and giving me interest on my money, which is to say, without me doing anything, it should passively grow. But quite the opposite is happening. Oh, that is devious. And you wonder why they hate cash, When I say they, I'm talking about the technocrats. I'm talking about the government. They don't want you to have cash because it'll be harder for them to steal from you, harder for them to freeze your assets, to control your assets, to know what you have in assets. You guys think this is a game. You guys are waiting until the FBI or the police show up at your house or do something to your kids. It'll be too late by then and you'll have no help because you'll be an individual atom, one single family. You must live in communities. When I talk about living in communities, first off, people are like, oh, that's a cult. It's a cult to know your neighbors. It's a cult to have a community. That's actually called a tribe. But because your government has destroyed your culture so badly, you live among people who probably don't know you and kind of don't like you. That's why there's all these disputes. When it's supposed to be a situation where you shouldn't have to go find a babysitter, you should be able to have the neighbor come over or drop your kid off at the neighbor. Your grandma should live across the street. Entire generations of families should be in walking distance. You shouldn't be going long periods of time isolated. Come on, those cause mental health issues. Come on. Yes, indeed.
Sorted, but it's boring.
Donald Trump had specifically asked about me because I...
Sick. Truly sick.
Is this you discussing Indian blood? We're going to judge people by whether they have Indian blood, whether they're qualified to run a gaming casino or not?
That probably is me, absolutely. Because I'll tell you what, if you look at some of the reservations that you've approved, you, sir, in your great wisdom have approved, I will tell you right now, they don't look like Indians to me, and they don't look like to Indians. Now, maybe we say politically correct or not politically correct. They don't look like Indians to me, and they don't look like Indians to Indians. And a lot of people are laughing at it, and you're telling how tough it is, how rough it is to get approved. Well, you go up to Connecticut, and you look now.
Bro going off on everybody. This was in 1993, ladies and saints. And I want you guys to really think about the different life that you live versus what the Donald lived. He grew up very wealthy. He has no level of understanding of you and I. And most of his voter base are uneducated, rural, and uneducated, low-income whites. He's been talking disrespectfully to the government, knowing that his family is plugged in with the government and nothing can happen to him because whether he was elected or not elected, he was already protected and connected. That's a bar. Clip that. Come on now. Whereas you and I have to cower at the government. You and I, man, I get tickets in the mail all the time. I'm looking at the damn ticket like, the hell? You gave me a toll? I had to pay a toll? I paid to register my car. I thought that pays for the roads. You guys are getting me for 6 figures annually in property taxes. Why am I paying additional fees to exist? It's enslavement. It is a sophisticated form of enslavement. I really want you guys to understand this. I want you to understand this. The devil that enslaved you 100 years ago is the devil today that is enslaving you through these sophisticated financial systems. They call it credit. They call it loans. They call it banking. But you really just need to call it control, and then you enslave yourself. They had the men enslaved, and now they have the men and the women enslaved. Children are on the way. Children are on the way. Come on now. None of this stuff makes sense. And you guys are so brainwashed, you'll say to yourself, well, I'm going to take a loan to get a car. I'll take a loan to go on vacation. Liabilities and consumer debt. Now, here's the thing. Somebody said not the kids. Oh, yeah, definitely the kids. But hey, what do you guys care about the kids? You let the kids get abused on Epstein Island, right? You let the kids get their bodies mutilated in California. What do you care about the kids? Nothing, right? Putting the kids in bondage, that's the least of what they've experienced, right? They're getting their body parts cut off. They're getting their hormones interrupted. They're having their puberty intercepted. Come on now. So you guys get brainwashed into a mentality of I'll finance this item. People are financing furniture. People are financing or using credit loans to go on vacation. Now, what they don't understand is that you're not getting money to do something that you could never do. You're getting money to do something that you couldn't do now. You're really paying to do something now that you should probably do later. Or you're paying to do something alone that you should probably do together. Marquette, break that down. I got you. What do you mean paying to do something now that you should do later? Well, if you could pay back the loan, that means you got the money. You just don't have it right now, which means you need to save. Come on now. It means you need to save. And the problem is that you were taught all kinds of nonsense in school, but you were not taught how to save. You were not taught to be patient. Those are adult traits. Yes. Because if you take a car loan, I don't care how much the car loan is for. You take a car loan for $30,000, $50,000, $100,000, it doesn't matter. You're going to pay all that money back plus some. So that means you could afford it, just not right now. And if you would have saved, you would have paid for it, but it would have been lower cost. Or, here's the big or. Pay attention to this. This is deep. This is why they want to keep you all separated. This is why they try to scare you and say, oh, that's a cult. This is why they try to scare you into being an individual atom. Because if you lived in a community, you could do things together. If you lived in a community of 100 people, you don't need 100 cars. If you live in a community of 100 people, you probably only need like 30 cars. And if you have 100 people and you only need 30 cars, that means that they're affordable now because you can share, you could pool the money. Come on now. That means if somebody has an emergency, you can support them. And that means if you actually live together, people will be more responsible. Why is that, Marquette? Because it's less likely you're going to steal from your neighbor that's literally next door, especially when everyone in the neighborhood knows each other. It's called social sanction. Come on now. But here's the problem. You don't have 20 people you can rely on. You don't have 50 people in your adulthood who know you and like you and are accessible. You think you have a family, you barely have a family. And you need family to reinforce family. Marquette, what does that mean? If you live in a community with people who share your values, if you have a falling out with your wife, then everyone in the community tells her, hey, Etna, you better take your butt back over there to Joey. Yeah, you better go back over there. Yeah, we love you, but we can only have you here for 3 nights. Go back home to your man. You don't want to be the only single woman in the neighborhood. You're going to have to move out. Don't you want to stay friends with all of us? Great. Well, we ladies are married women, so go back to your man. It all reinforces good values. Huh? Come on now. Yes, indeed. Let's get back to this work. And thank you to those folks who are supporting using the information in the description of the video and as well as
Mr.
the banner.
Secretary,
I appreciate you.
With all due respect, how is allowing 600,000 students from the communist country of China putting America first?
Well, the president's point of view is that what would happen if you didn't have those 600,000 students is that you'd empty them from the top. All the students would go up to better schools, and the bottom 15% of universities and colleges would go out of business in America. So his view is he's taking a rational economic view, which is classic Donald Trump, looking at higher education and saying,
but why are you
until
helping
we
Harvard?
Modify that.
That just
What's
helps
that?
Harvard and UCLA and UCal Berkeley and I mean you're all helping those schools. Why? They're like.
Now, this is the problem, is that the devils are so, they're burning down. The evil empire is falling. The idea, and Donald Trump has done a lot to defund research and development. Research universities like Berkeley, Harvard, Johns Hopkins, UCLA, these are the places that, of course, create advanced weaponry, but also they create medicines, they create cures, they create real vaccines, they stop the spread of tuberculosis. These are important places. And Donald Trump is defunding them or damn near bankrupting them with lawsuits. And where America has wasted money has been in the military industrial complex. So they spend a ton of money on murder machines and killing tech, if you like. So biggest spender on death by far. Now you'll see that China has outpaced America in research and development spending. So what that means is that, you know, when sonic flight is a thing, probably maybe China will get there first when it's commonplace. eVTOLs, you guys hear me talk about that a lot. China will probably get there first. So the important things that advance and improve the life of everyday citizens, America's not investing in that because we're damn near crippling our universities, which, mind you, our university system used to be the best in the world. And instead we're pouring the money into war. And all the while we're doing that, our universities, which are still good to this day, we're allowing them to be overpopulated with Chinese nationals. And this has been happening since I was an undergraduate. Berkeley was 44% ethnic Chinese. And you think that they're going to go and become engineers, nuclear engineers, physicists, and they're not going to take their skill set back to China or stay in America, get embedded in government, get embedded with security clearance, or get embedded in corporations and then not be a double agent? Come on. Come on. Let's be real. Let's be real here. Carrying on.
Like, you know, basically factories of anti-American propaganda, and now they're getting a big influx of cash because of the Chinese students. I mean, I know President Trump has always been very pro-Chinese student. I just don't understand it for the life of me.
Find
those
the
are
money.
600,000 spots that American kids
money.
won't get. Mr. Secretary, with all due respect, how is allowing...
You know, that's really interesting because we tend to think that the university degree, not we tend to think, we've been taught and enculturated into it. And it's really because of the educational industrial complex. They want you to take out loans because, again, the banksters, right? The banksters. And you know who runs the banks? They want you to take out loans to get an education that won't even get you a job. Interesting. And they tell you that the education is necessary to achieve the American dream, which is to get another loan. Oh, whoa, Marquette, you're brilliant. Hold on, run that back. Whoa. Did you say the American government tells you to go to college, you got to take out a loan to go to college? Then you get a job after college and you're paying back the college loan. You want to achieve the American dream, which is a house. And you're going to take out a loan to get the house. So you're paying a loan from the education that you needed to get another loan to get the house. This doesn't sound like a scam to anybody, to nobody. This sounds like a scam to nobody but me. Okay, that's weird. That's super weird. If college did you so well, and mind you, I went to university 2 times, 2 degrees. If it did you so well, why do you need a loan to get the house? And here's another thing that we need to address. Why have we accepted the culture of taking out loans? That's not the right thing. It's almost angering. Like, who said that was a good idea? Shout out to Project Monger, writes, I know what I did wrong. Okay, I don't even know what you did wrong, but hey, if you know, that's an important thing. And I also acknowledge Nova. He writes, people have too many animals, mainly dogs. That's a good point. Unnecessary expense. And it reeks of so many bad things. He writes, so living with others means kicking the dogs to the curb, which the dog lovers will never do. And frankly, I've never met someone who is in great mental health. They had their life together in the areas of health, wealth, relationships, and they had dogs. I've never observed that. And this is no disrespect to anyone. With kindness and respect, I would just like to note that health, if you have good health, that means that you are in a strong physical body that is active. You have no ailments. You also have access to health care that you can afford, right? You have good dental situation, good vision situation, and you don't have any known issues. That's health. Oh, and when I say you're in a strong body, 30 minutes of sweat, you can exercise rigorously. wealth. You are not drowning in debt. You can endure if there's an emergency. Wealth is not only in the hand, it's also in the mind. If someone ever tells you of their big dreams or their big plans, and you feel any amount of jealousy, or you don't feel happy for them, or you don't say, hey man, that's awesome, I want to see you win. Or you don't say, how can I help you? Even if I don't make any money, let me help you, because we have wealth through unity. If you win big, if you get whatever it is, I'll probably get to enjoy it as well, because we're friends or we're family. If you see someone winning and you're not happy, you do not have wealth. If someone shares a big plan and you're crickets and you're not encouraging or engaging, you don't have wealth. You're missing something. Health, wealth, relationships. Relationships. If you had great, fulfilling relationships, you would not seek a relationship with the lower animals. Those are beasts of burden. You might use a dog for security, but most of you don't need it for that or have it for that. You may use a cow to have beef. You may use a dog to protect your chickens. You're not friends with the lower animals. Only a beast would do that, but we've been run by beasts. Our society's been run by devils, demons, and beasts. And so you think and behave in a beastly way because they've normalized that which is unclean, that which is unnatural. Come on now. Come on now. And let me tell you this, and I'm going to get on. A lot of women cripple themselves because they encounter a man who is mentally well, and they would like to make progress with the man, and they're not in order in terms of health, wealth, relationships. Marquette, please bless us. I'd be happy to. Number one, if you meet a man who is a honorable, upright, strong man, a great leader, the one that you want, and you have debt, he's probably not going to want you. You're a burden to him. If you come to a man and he says, hey, I'm going to give you a modest allowance, because it's a tough world out here. It's a cold world. I'm going to give you an allowance. You don't need to work. I'll give you $500 a month. Okay, great. But now you have debt as a woman. So that $500 a month is not going to do anything because you got a car note that you didn't pay off. You didn't even buy your iPhone. You got that on payments. Now he got to pay that off. You got insurance, and I ain't talking health insurance. You got all these expenses, and now you become an expense to him. And on top of that, you want gifts. On top of that, you want a vacation. You deserve nothing. You could barely survive before you showed up to that man. And now you want all these things. And then got the nerve to not even do your job as a wife mother with grace and being pleasant. Come on now. Do not show up to a man with debt. I'm not saying avoid relationships. No, get into a relationship. But I'm telling you what the ideal, what the best practice is. You should not have debt. And let me tell all of the men and women listening, if you're with a man and over time he is increasing you in debt, ladies, if you are with a man and he is increasing you in debt, you are with a slacker. I said over time. There's nothing wrong with supporting a man or a friend or a family member as needed. There's much wrong when someone always needs to be supported. There's much wrong when someone is allowing their vices and their faults to cause you to have more hardship. Huh? Come on now. And what's worse is do know that everything you do on this earth, it counts and it will have an impact. The men that you lay with, the next guy will be curious about that. It will have an impact. The drugs you use, you smoke marijuana, it will stain your lips. It'll be visible, a stain always on you. That's why I try to help you avoid doing evil. Avoid it. Come on now. Yeah, we're going to talk about it. Shout out to Ramon, writes, tuition, peace to saints. I appreciate you. Came in via Venmo. May I also acknowledge via PayPal. Shout out to Michael. Came in supporting the work. Michael's always rocking with us. We appreciate you. Shout out to Jamshi. He writes, the regime will eventually bring their foreign playbook home. Word to Big Bird. Good to see you. May I also acknowledge Justin. He writes, support for the first time, but not the last. You're the real deal. I appreciate you. Shout out to the real ones who know what it do. Real will recognize real. I also acknowledge Deshaun came in using the Stripe link in the description of the video. And if anyone uses Cash App and I don't read it off, let me know. Try to stay abreast of all of that. Carrying on. And you know, the funny thing is sometimes you're watching these people on Fox News and ABC, and they're just pretenders. They're just pretenders. They don't feel strongly about any of this stuff. And I tell you, the white supremacists are really sad because they complain about DEI and they complain about affirmative action. Oh, the blacks, the Latinos, they're taking our kids' spaces in college. But they don't seem to be offended when 600,000 Chinese come and take their kids' space. These aren't even Americans, but where's the uproar? It's missing. So it lets you know it's not about your kid's space being taken. Maybe it's about something different. You feel some kind of way about them blacks and Latinos because we don't see any uproar about the 600,000 Chinese. And here's the funny thing as well is that these are not citizens, and you keep on saying, China is a problem, China. But apparently not. Apparently you're friends. And that's why the Wuhan lab and that particular pestilence, you guys collaborated on that biological weapon. Let's be real here. Anyways, carrying on. Okay. A Long Island drug dealer. Good. It seems like this man hangs out with more thugs than, goddamn. This man better drop a mixtape. He hang out with so many damn thugs. Boy, good Lord. Shout out to Edit writes, as a young black man, how can I never forget my flaws? I don't even know what you mean by that. But I can tell you this, that if you are a young black man and you're seeking your come up, and if you're black, blue, white, purple, that's what you should be focused on in your youth, Boss University. And also maybe Boss University would have had you write that a little bit more clearly for me. I highly recommend that to young men. That's why young people who are on their come up, that's what I made it for. And young really is, young is your energy level. Young is your circumstances. You see, if you're 22 years old and you have 5 kids and you're a stay-at-home dad and you don't have a lot of energy and you have a pot belly, well, you're not young, right? Young is your energy level. It's a number of things. Carrying on. A Long Island drug dealer sprung from prison by President Trump now has been convicted of abusing his kid's nanny and assaulting a toddler. Ain't nothing safe around this ball. I'm assuming the nanny was not an adult in this case. Mr. Braun, 41 years old, landed a 27-month sentence. They giving these boys light sentences. Good Lord. In a Brooklyn federal court Monday for violating the terms of his 2021 presidential pardon with fresh crimes. Wow. America is great again. Good Lord. Ooh-wee. Yeah, this is rough here, boy. This is rough. And we haven't even talked about the total number of persons pardoned.
America, in the next 20 years, will become, for the first time in its history, a minority white country.
Well, that will be a very, very bad thing to happen. You want to see the U.S. go down?
Now, this is Elon Musk's father. I'm not entirely sure why he's on this. I don't know if this was misplaced onto the list, but it's a reminder of what Elon Musk comes from. An Afrikaner, a Boer, a white racist. South Africa is more racist than anything you'd ever want to see. You see, because it's not only the whites, it's the blacks as well that are anti-black racists. It's a scary place in some regards. I've never seen a group of people so brainwashed with hate.
Why? Oh, you don't like cars and electric cars, and you don't...
It's funny. He's pretending as though Asians don't make electric cars. He's pretending as though Africans don't have electric cars. Curious. Now, here's the interesting thing. What the white supremacists always fail to do, and this is why I had to take over the movement, is in their effort to escape accountability, they constantly blame the others, suggesting that their minority status roots from unbridled immigration, when in actual fact, it roots from your feminism and your LGBTQ. You guys are not having kids because your woman is a feminist and your son is a Skittle guzzler. So when you figure that out, then all would be well. And even when women are young and fertile in the white community, if a man says, oh, I want to get a woman who's young and fertile, 18 to 24, they're like, oh, he's a pedo. What? That's an adult woman. What are you talking about? And most of us, our grandmother had their first kid at 16. And that's why the kids didn't have birth defects, because the woman was healthy. That's why the births are simple and easy.
Hitler had a political sense that Trump doesn't have. He's the product of a bankrupt liberalism. He's more a product of the failure of the established society than the product of some kind of political genius. He's a terrible speaker. I mean, let's be frank. I mean, you listen to him, I listen to him, he's not a good.
And these are such meaningful points. I think I did a lecture on this some time ago. Actually, I know I did a lecture on this. And of course, I've studied Adolf in university. I even wrote a quite extensive paper on the Hitler Jugend. And the Third Reich was quite remarkable. And really, it largely fell due to the psychotic level of racism and hatred for the Slavs, which caused Adolf to open up a second front against the Russians, who were nothing to joke around with. But we knew that that was coming, meaning people of that time should have known, because if you read Mein Kampf, which was a terrible, rambling, thick book that he authored in Landsberg prison, it was a terrible book. I've read it, unfortunately, utterly atrocious, but he rails on Lebensraum, expanding to the east for living space, taking land from the Russians. You could imagine that someone who is so deeply ideological would always revert back to his pathology. And stacking up too many wins, he was overconfident. But if we're being honest and we compare Trump to Adolf, we know that Trump is nothing like Adolf. Adolf had extraordinary gifts of public speaking, the harmony of speech and body language you've really not seen since, except the big homie. And in addition to that, he also had proper ideology. They borrowed from fascist Italy, which was paradigmatic fascism, that which was originated by Giovanni Gentile. But you also had a lot of figures in the background. You had the Tula Society, you had Karl Haushofer, you had many intelligent people that were helping with ideology. And they also borrowed eugenics from the United States, which is where it comes from, in case you didn't know. And so this was a very ideological state that was attempting to bring some kind of scientific aspect to their race, which was, of course, also true early in America with eugenics. But I say all that to say this. The major difference between Adolf and Trump is Trump says make America great again, but he really is all about Israel. Conversely, Adolf made huge investments into the German worker. And the truth is, it's in the name. It was called the Deutsches Arbeiterspartei. The Nationalsozialistisches Deutsches Arbeiterspartei. It's been a while, which stands for the National Socialist German Workers' Party in German. And they had huge investments in the youth, which are the future, right? And so they had the Hitler Jugend. They had Napola schools for the boys, elite schools, and these are government schools, mind you. And then for the girls, they had the Bund Deutsche Mädel. And because they actually were true white nationalists, white supremacists in the truest sense, they did the intelligent thing of saying, let's breed these people together, which is called positive eugenics. They also engaged in negative eugenics, but positive eugenics is the mating of humankind in the same way you try to mate to create a thoroughbred. And they did it. Also, for the first time, they gave workers holidays abroad financed by the government. They did so many things to help everyday people. They did campaigns against smoking. It was the first government to do so. They also had huge amounts of scientific discoveries, medical discoveries, largely because they were vicious scientists, or evil doctors like Dr. Mengele and others. They discovered formaldehyde and uses of this and many other things. But The point is that Adolf had various talents. He had talents in architecture. He had talents in painting. He had talents in military strategy. He also was actually in the military, and he received the Iron Cross bravery. He was gassed. He was a messenger on the front lines, whereas Trump just wears a military uniform, but he's never seen action. So the point is, you're comparing a proper dictator, military leader who was in war, who had extraordinary plans, and the people around him were quite clever. Joseph Goebbels, Minister of Propaganda and Public Enlightenment, very clever guy. And he didn't have fakers around him. Like, I don't know, it was like Pete Hegseth what has he done? And then Adolf had Hermann Goering, people who are, aces and major, accomplished pilots around him. And whereas Trump has his family members who have done nothing except trade stock, which adds no value to the world, except play financial games with derivatives and futures and all of this nonsense, which is a part of these people controlling the world through complex financial trickery, which all goes back to usury and debt slavery. So anyways, I say all that to say, however evil Adolf was, there was no doubt that there was an intellectual backing to his movement, however pseudoscientific it was, and it was very pseudoscientific, but he actually cared about the Germans. The only time you could say that he didn't was when bro was crashing out, when the war was clearly lost, and instead of capitulating, he was like, nah, we fighting this to the end, to the end. And then they started sending in the Hitlerjugend into the war. But this is really important because the Hitlerjugend, which is to say the youth league, the boys, mind you, it was the largest boys youth league on earth, including China, which is huge. And I saw that, and they also forced kids into it, which was quite interesting. They even used the church. It was called the Evangelistische Concordat, like with the evangelical church. But anyways, the point is this. The genius of their movement was that they conditioned the boys through education, government schools. They gathered all of their elite boys who were both physically and intellectually elite. They put them in schools, trained them not only on the arithmetic and the German language and culture and history, but they also indoctrinated them against the enemy. And you know who the enemy was. And in addition to that, they taught them military science, not physics for physics' sakes, physics for the sake of military science, calculating projectile, calculating if a bomber is over top of America and it drops a bomb and the bomb is moving at this speed. When will it, they taught them, you are about to be a part of the engine that drives the fatherland, and you will sacrifice for Deutschland. You're a part of a folk, which is a community, a living organism. You are the protector of it. And if you are called upon, you will fight to the death with no fear. And guess what? Them boys were TTG, trained to go. So when it was time and things were going left, them boys were excited because they were raised up like Spartans to go catch them bodies, which is important. But here's the crazy thing. The girls was with it too. You heard me? The girls were trained in the feminine pursuits, but they were still bought into the regime and the identity enough that they were saying, hey, we will do what it takes. Now, that's called a real community and tribe. They're on the same page. They go all out from each other. Now, the only challenge is they were wicked devils. That's the only challenge. They were wicked devils. And that's why when I went into university, my chief academic question was, how is it we can organize people in large numbers for hate, but it's so hard to organize people for good? The nature of human being is mostly wicked, which kind of makes sense in line with some of the philosophy you can pull from Christianity with original sin and everyone's born sinful. You have to get baptized. It makes sense when you observe people, but there is no doubt that some of us are saintly in nature, and we have a nature for positivity, a nature for doing good, a nature for being kind and loving, and we should be around each other, not the wicked people who will do you harm any chance they get. Come on now. But the idea of comparing a Donald Trump to Adolf is utterly ludicrous because they're in wildly different categories. First off, there was no one above Adolf. He was actually financed by the industrialists early on because they were trying to end the Weimar Republic and they thought they could control him, particularly those who were part of the Prussian Junker tradition. And the industrialists were not able to control him. And he said it outright when he was in power. He said, nobody controls me. He said, you in your Western weak societies, you are controlled by these people. You guys are plutocrats. The banksters control you. International finance controls you. But me in Germany, I control me, and I am going to do what's right for this nation. Now, unlike some of these dweebs on the internet, like, for example, Myron, also known as the Amru Fuddle, changed his name. He wants to be more white. It's kind of weird. But these people know nothing. They've not taken any formal course of study. They've learned from YouTube documentaries. I've learned from the scholars. I've learned directly from literally the foremost expert in this subject. I'm talking about sitting across from him in his office hours on a first name basis. Anyways, so I say all that to say this. When you compare Adolf and Trump, you're not comparing anything. Trump is as close to Adolf, and this is not to say Adolf was a good man. He was not a good man. He was a great man, and those are different things. Good is a moral judgment. Great is a level of achievement. You compare Trump to Adolf is like comparing me to Trump. If you were to go to Zimbabwe, you're like, actually Zimbabwe, they know your boy. But if you go to Kazakhstan, I got a couple chicks in Kazakhstan. If you go to, I don't know, where do they not know me at all? Mongolia. If you go to Mongolia, I actually do have one fan who's Mongolian, but he doesn't live in Mongolia. So if you go to Mongolia and you're like, Marquette Burton, niggas would be like, yo, what the? That's how far Trump is to Adolf. The same distance I am to Trump. Is not a reasonable comparison. The only thing that they have in common is that Trump has dictatorial tendencies, anti-democratic tendencies. However, he's exercising totalitarian or authoritarian control, but it's because of some other group pulling the strings, which makes him radically different than Adolf. Adolf had no master. Simple as that. It was as clear as day. He had no master. And even when he should have taken good military advice, because he won way more than he should have won. He was able to annex more than he should have annexed. And even his own cabinet was not able to slow him down when he probably should have slowed down. Megalomania. But it's one thing in the case of Trump to be a megalomaniac and incompetent, whereas Trump was so Trump's a megalomaniac and incompetent, whereas Adolf is a megalomaniac and competent. Come on now. Come on. Let's talk about it. And I don't want to hear people pretending as though authoritarianism doesn't work. It works great. There's a million examples of it. Lee Kuan Yew in Singapore. There's a million examples I could go through. Joseph Stalin in the Soviet Union. I could go through a whole bunch of examples. What we hate to admit as human beings is, number one, we need leadership, which means we require hierarchy. It is inherent to everything about the natural world. Hierarchy. When you're born into a hierarchy. Your parents are above you. You're born into a hierarchy. There's no such thing as egalitarianism. And so you're marketed the idea of democracy as a lie. In your foolishness, you feel like you're treated equally. But let's be real. What is the likelihood of you and I ever getting a pardon? Doesn't matter what we did. Could you get a pardon from Donald Trump, Barack Obama, Bill Clinton, George Bush? No. You have to be connected. And what does a pardon mean? A pardon means that the laws don't apply to you. That's what a pardon is. And you only get that through having access. And if there's a such thing as a pardon, what it fundamentally means is that laws don't mean anything. Let's be real. That's what a pardon is. It's a verification that the laws don't apply equally. It's a verification that the system is a fraud. Shout out to Pawan. He writes, more tuition. Thank you, Mr. Burton. Great lecture. The emphasis on co-location and the importance of excellence in health, wealth, and relationships really hits home. Very good. And I want everyone to rid their souls of jealousy. You know, really, when you are truly saintly and someone else has big plans, big goals, big accomplishments, if you're truly a saint, you have a great life because you can use their happiness as your own happiness. Isn't that beautiful? Isn't it beautiful that you can see someone succeeding, and even if you're not doing what they're doing, you feel happy that they're succeeding? There's a woman today that followed me on IG, and I just happened to see it. And most of the times I don't get to like pinpoint one individual person that followed me because it's just going a little too fast. But I saw this woman follow me, and I saw that she had a beautiful family and she was very successful. Looks like her family was well-to-do. And I sent her a message just to compliment her and her family. Hey, you have a beautiful family. Congratulations on your successful family. I didn't have to do that, but it makes me feel better to make other people feel better. It makes me feel happier to spread goodness and joy, and people like compliments, and there's nothing more beautiful than being able to compliment someone, especially a woman, on doing the right thing, on wearing clothes. You hear me? Wearing clothes and making a family, which is what a woman should do. Shout out to Mr. Johnson, came in a strong way. He writes, God bless, stay safe, Mr. Burton. I appreciate that. Yes, indeed. So mostly the hair hats are out to get me. Shout out to Mohammed, writes, peace to the saints, related to the live, but need advice. Oh, excuse me, not related. Okay. He writes, tired of the corporate life, looking to seek a new path, trying to decide between your product-based business or AI course, or would you say learn both? Well, I do both. Me personally, I do both. However, it depends on you. Maybe one is more appropriate. If I had to choose between the two, I would choose the AI course because tech is infinitely scalable and it's easy to scale and it's better profit margins. I also like product-based business in terms of like physical, tangible items because it's easy to understand and it's very reliable and predictable. And most importantly, it scales through languages and much else. So for example, this is a tape measure. I'm guessing that you could use this tape measure in Latin America. You could use this tape measure in Saudi Arabia. You could use this tape measure in the United States. It's going to scale across all the markets quite easily. So each one has its own complexity and simplicity. But in terms of what's going to give you the most profitability and give you access to making hundreds of millions, $1 billion, that's going to be software. So the AI course by far, if your goal is like, hey, I want to get rich, software by far. Thank you for that question. May I acknowledge Mr. Gardner, who writes, peace to the saints, paying what I owe. I also want to shout out to Sasson, Carolina Captain Mr. Harden. I hope you meet him soon, Saint. Me too. Absolutely. I always love to meet good people. You can never meet enough good people. And I always, fortunately, I'm flooded with good people. And so maybe sometimes I don't get to spend as much time and attention on any individual person as I would like, but do know that I always make my best effort. Shout out to Caleb. Just came and writes, tuition for the good work, peace to the saints. I appreciate you. And that's why I always remind you guys that this movement that we have, this global movement, is so much bigger than me as an individual. It's really about we. It's about all of us. Because the truth is, I can only do so much. Even when I host events, it's my pleasure to meet everyone, but I can't have personal conversations with everyone because there's just not enough time. But your executive in your section, you can build strong relationships with. And we always make sure that we know, who the guys are that are contributing and all that great stuff. We have systems for that. And so people who are contributing to this thing of ours, we always try to make sure that we elevate you. And obviously the top guys, the guys who are confirmed, men and women who are confirmed, and men and women who take leadership positions, they're executives. Those are the people I have the opportunity to have the strongest relationships with. And I was thinking earlier today, I want to acknowledge Mr. Chapman. I don't know if you're in the chat right now. Mr. Chapman took the initiative to have a fundraiser and kind of talk a little bit about the ism in Boston area. And we really so believe in in-person relationships. So the fact that he's putting the ism in the streets and being able to engage people with this thing of ours, I really want to acknowledge him on that one and shout out to the initiative. And I really appreciate that. And if he would remind me, I hope he's watching, I do want to do a post, a public post on the acknowledging his work and some of the businesses he's putting forward. So if he would remind me, if he's watching, carrying on.
Not a good speaker at all. But the problem is that the decay within American society is so pronounced that a figure like Trump is able to exploit the mendacity and the selling out, especially the working class, but the American public, in particular by the Democratic Party, but not just the Democratic Party. I mean, the rejection is focused at the establishment Republican Party, the Liz Cheneys, the Mitt Romneys, these figures who have fused with the establishment Democratic Party into one party, which is, the old discredited ruling class. Trump has tapped into the anger, and it's a legitimate anger, on the part of a betrayed populace. And that's what's fueled his.
Yeah, I mean, the population has been being betrayed and the suffering has just increased over time. But I'd say that I trace it back to prohibition. So not only was the population being betrayed by the government, also the population was wicked and it was betraying itself. Personally, I don't buy into the religions. However, I buy into all the books, all of the good books, what has been revealed, the Bible, the Old Testament, the Torah, the Quran. They're good books. And so often they tell stories of peoples, groups, cultures that start to decay morally. And it is in our moral decay that we suffer. It's really quite sad. Uniquely, the German fellow I was referencing, he came into a Germany that was really at the apex of European culture. They had all the greatest philosophers, composers. They were advanced in physics and anthropology. They were not a dumb population. And they were an immoral population, but they were not a dumb population. And that kind of speaks to why Adolf was more of a quality person than Trump, because in the United States, the American population is a dumb population. But throughout the West, increasingly, they're dumb populations. And that's why a Donald Trump can be in power. It is what it is.
His political project. Hitler had a political sense that Trump doesn't.
Yeah, and what the guy said is not particularly insightful. It's fairly obvious, but I appreciate him
Hitler had a political sense that
these white working class voters, we told you so. We told you that Trump was going to be a terrible candidate. We told you that you were an idiot if you voted for him.
Talk to the Trump supporters for a minute. I don't know who you are, and I don't know why you like this guy. He's a race-baiting, xenophobic, religious bigot. He doesn't represent my party. He doesn't represent the values that the men and women who wear the uniform are fighting for.
He's playing the members of the American public for suckers. He gets a free ride to the White House.
Now, the funny thing is that Lindsey Graham fellow, oh boy, he is a devil for real. And also Skittle Guzzler. It's worth noting that another brainwash that they give us, aside from religion, is the idea that if you're in the armed services, you are fighting for the country, when in actual fact, you're fighting for open markets, which is to say you're doing the bidding of rich men. And this is something that Adolf actually had remarked. He called America a plutocracy, which is a government run by the rich. And this is a fact. And the more you make a study of it, you come to understand the military-industrial complex, which also involves reconstruction. So the corporations get paid to destroy your country, and then they get the other corporations, Caterpillar, the people who make cement, these infrastructure building companies then get paid to rebuild the country. And everyone gets paid except the American taxpayer. They're truly enslaved, kind of their own making, because you submit. And this, in say 100 years, folks, if humanity exists, they'll look back and it'll be the same story that you have with transatlantic slave trade, where people like me are like, how'd that go on so long? Like, how did they not revolt? Like, what happened? And it'll be the same answer, which is they were defeated here. You could have 1,000 bodies, but if you only have one mind and that mind is broken in the same particular way, and that mind is submissive to the government or submissive to the slave master, then slavery will continue. You see, my property taxes went up, and it's the most bizarre thing when you really think about it. Well, Marquette, why is that bizarre? Number one, I never agreed to pay taxes, but that's fine. It's government thuggery. So you give me an assessment on my property taxes. So I buy a house, and you say, we're going to charge you $200,000 a year in property taxes. I take that L. Then the next year, you say, we're going to charge you $240,000 per year. And I'm like, wait, hold on. How can I budget if you're changing my mortgage every year? Like now, my mortgage, say my mortgage was $18,000. Now my mortgage is $20,000 a month. I can't budget because you're deciding what I'm paying. And I never agreed to it. Maybe I budgeted and agreed that I could pay $18,000 a month, but I never agreed or budgeted that I could pay $20,000 a month. So there are people who lose their homes, not because they didn't make a wise financial decision, not because they can't afford it, but because the government falsely inflated the price of their house. That's crazy. That's crazy to me. This doesn't even sound sensible.
And all we get is a lousy hat.
President Trump has surrounded himself with the political elite who've spent like drunken sailors. They've raided Social Security, and they continue to waste taxpayer dollars. Everybody talks about the economy when Trump was president. He put us $8 trillion in debt in just 4 years.
Donald Trump is a con artist. Has portrayed himself now consistently as fighting for the working people, and he has a record of sticking it to working people for 35 years.
What I really think of Donald Trump. This man is a pathological liar.
What I want you to understand is that a great many people that were pictured there are all on the Trump bandwagon. And it's during the election season that the elite Epstein class, they compete with each other for public notoriety and for the coveted position of being the front man, the face of things. And then once the dust settles on this competition, a gentleman's competition, then they all say, okay, Trump, yes, even though just a little while ago he was the worst guy. And that shows you the inauthentic nature of anyone who would go into government, pretty much anywhere in the world. So when people are like, well, it's the people who voted for Trump, they were lied to just like you were lied to. What do you mean? When did we have a president who told the truth, came in, did exactly what he said he was going to do? When did that guy exist? The difference between Donald Trump and Barack Obama is less racism, less state theft, corruption. So I say less racism, less corruption, but everything else is pretty much the same. Everything else is pretty much the same. I don't see a huge difference.
His response is to accuse everybody else of lying. Whatever he does, he accuses everyone else of doing. Everything in Donald's world is about Donald.
These white working class voters, we told you so. We told you that Trump was going to be a terrible candidate. We told you that you were an idiot if you...
Yeah. Now that's his vice president, by the way. You can't trust any of these people. They are all the same. They're liars. Good Lord. May I acknowledge via PayPal? Shout out to Wayne. He writes, showing more support for this session. Thank you for everything you do, Mr. Burton. I appreciate you. Shout out to Mr. Thompson. Came in supporting the work. Writes, support. Shout out to Mr. Mack. Writes, thanks for the work. You're welcome, and I thank you for the support. Shout out to those men who stand up, make their name known. Shout out to Ian, who just became a member at peacetothesaints.com, as did Akinola. And we just released a lot of great works on there. Take a look at the covenants. So the covenants are a number of agreements that you should make sure your lady agrees to before you go into a formal titled relationship, because this will really tell her everything she needs to know about how this relationship is going to operate. And if she can't agree to it without any reservation, it lets you know she probably ain't the one. Keep her as a side piece. Keep her as a side piece. She's not material for building a family with. It be like that. You just got to accept that. Shout out to Mr. Chapman writes, tuition, I spent the bulk of my day working on my money machines after our call, not drinking beer and eating cheap hot dogs. Bruh, I'm trying to tell you. You are a true force multiplier, saint, peace of the saints, peace of the saints. You know, and I love to see the brother on Facebook. He always working out and is such an inspiration. And that's really what you want around you. You want people that you can be happy for, that you can admire. And, you know, good reinforces good. And you can really be immortal out here if you have the correct influences.
Version of the bill from the Senate removes the writings of Frederick Douglass? I am. Are you aware that this new version of the bill from the Senate removes the writings of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.? Yes. Are you aware that this new version of the bill from the Senate removes the history of Native Americans?
The way the bill is laid out,
that's a yes or no question.
We are very clear that we could not be conclusive about every.
So this is naked white supremacy, and the white supremacists, one of their chief aims is to escape, or rather stop the world from knowing who and what they are. Beasts, monsters. They don't want the world to know about their crimes. And so what they do is they rewrite the history, or in this case, they remove the history. We don't want you to remember that we enslaved an entire population and then abused them. Okay, remove all the stuff from Frederick Douglass. We don't want you to know that people in this country had to fight just to get decent treatment. Remove the part about Martin Luther King. We don't want you to remember that you're standing on the bones of the natives to this land. Native Americans, you take their history out. Yes? And in an era where we are not printing newspapers, we're not printing textbooks, where everything's on an iPad, digital and easily edited, we are living in 1984 for my literary folks, and it should be scary to you. It should be absolutely terrifying. We are in dangerous times. If Adolf was able to brainwash a population with comparatively primitive tools of surveillance, primitive tools of communication, can you imagine what they're doing now? Sometimes I look at my comments on my videos and I know that those are not human beings. I know it can't be human beings because the like rate goes up too high. Someone posts a negative comment and then it has 8 likes, like within a blink of an eye. Like, that's too quick. And it's also so consistent. I'm like, I don't know about that. It's a bit strange. You don't know what's real, what's fake now. Well, I guess we know politicians are fake. That's for sure. Shout out to Majesty. He writes, peace of saints. Do you believe new tech in certain fields, especially in the US, are scams in ways that companies can extract money from people? I work in HVAC and it seems most products sold are not worth it for average people. Oh, I totally agree. I got to talk to my HVAC folks. They came and did something for $5,000 and I don't see any difference whatsoever. I wanted cleaner air being pulled into the home, like fresh, clean air on my 3rd floor. And I don't notice any difference at all. So yes, there's a lot to pay attention to. Let's just say that.
Every single document out there that we could. I'm going to give you an answer. This isn't a trial. I'm going to give you an answer.
Okay, I'm ready for the answer.
The way it's set out is so that a teacher can go to different documents and different authors by which to.
Yeah, that's correct. Officially erasing history on record. That's correct. But here's the thing. You should have never allowed your enemy to educate your kids. That's the problem. And that's why we, for example, have so many people who love that country here because of that certain type of Bible. What was that Bible called? Was it the Schofield Bible, where it tells you that certain people are above everyone else? The Schofield Bible, they infiltrated your churches. And that's why white America is completely brainwashed. Yes, you cannot let these people educate your children.
Before you joined the FBI, you railed against it for covering up Jeffrey Epstein's human trafficking ring. Let me refresh your memory with this clip.
It has Epstein's list. They're sitting on it. That doesn't seem like something you should do. You're protecting the world's foremost predator. That seems like an evil thing to do, regardless of who may be embarrassed in the release of that list. Why is the FBI protecting the greatest pederast, the largest scale pederast in human history?
Simple, because of who's on that list.
So you finished that December 2023 interview with a challenge to the FBI and harsh words for Republicans in Congress for not getting the Epstein files out to the public. You can see this clip.
Boy pants, and let us know who the pedophiles are.
Yeah, that's right. So what we're seeing is that these males are not men. There's no level of integrity whatsoever. They literally say the opposite, depending on when you catch them. If it was before he got into position to actually do something good for the people, in the FBI, he's saying, oh, they need to release it. Then he gets in position. He's like, oh, no, there's nothing to release. And you and I sit here all separated and ineffective. They say, divide and conquer. We're already divided. And we're already conquered. It's time to unify. It's time to unite. Young lady today had messaged me. A couple young ladies. I don't know. I guess maybe I'm going viral or something, because it's like a lot more than usual messaged me today, most of whom sent voice messages, which is curious. And they're all black women, which is quite nice. But I did tell you that the black women show up later. They like, when I was in my hood, there's a lot of black women because they're proximate, and I was a goon. So they were there. Then when I was successful in tech, they disappeared. Where'd they go? I was getting that tech money, international businessman, office in South Korea, deals in China, office in Puerto Rico, office throughout the United States. They're gone. And I had money, but they're gone. Then when I got the clout, they show back up. Interesting. We have to train our women better. And I'm already getting to the work. But anyways, my good fortune is that being that my content is of a particular type, I either get messages from black women who have blonde wigs and they're telling me that they want to take my life, or I get messages from beautiful black women with natural hair, and they're very positive messages. But for example, a woman who is in her early 30s, she said, we need more men like you. I say, well, you got to create them. You got to create them. Do you have kids? She was like, I'm waiting till marriage. Sounds good. But what does she mean by marriage? What's her definition of marriage? And is she living based on the black code, or is she living based on what the devils have taught her? Imagine learning that you need to get married to have kids, but you learned that from the devils. The devil that's running the country got married 3 times and divorced. Bunch of broken families. But do you call him a baby daddy? Because that's what he is. Come on now. And that's why I wrote the black code as a unifying, public, and predictable way to navigate this world and thrive. Come on now. Because I didn't say anything to the lady because I don't have a relationship with her. But when she said she was 31 and she's waiting till marriage, I was kind of like, damn, well, you need to hurry up. You heard me? You probably should have sent me a DM with 3 pictures. Hey, here's my headshot. Here's some head to toes. Here's a picture of me doing my favorite hobby. Here's a picture of me traveling. I'm 31. This is my health record. This is my wealth picture. This is my relationship background. Are you interested in impregnating me? That's really what it needs to be. It needs to be like that, because at age 31, you don't have a lot of time to take your time. You've already taken your time. And there you go for those who are ready to get the knowledge, those who are in position to get it. Look at this person writes, disagree, brother. I'm not your brother. I'm 100% not your brother. My family does not disagree in public. So I'm definitely not your brother. My family, we never have disagreements in public. You could never be my brother. You're nothing like me. But what I will do is you can come on the live stream right now and explain your disagreement. I'd be more than happy to grant you that. Just let me know right now in the chat if you would like to come on and explain yourself. We'll give this contrarian individual some time. While we wait, shout out to Ramon, who went to sasnbrand.com. I got the sand shell, the sand colored quarter zip on there, the Assassin quarter zip. As you guys know, our brand colors are black and red. This one's in cream. It's a limited edition. It is going to be taken down in 13 hours. So if you want that one, get it now. It will be removed. And shout out to Mr. Chapman. He actually has that one. He's looking good in that one. Pause. Had that one on earlier. May I acknowledge Year of the Producers, LLC. Comes in via PayPal. He writes, first time support, avid watcher. I've been exercising hard every day since my B-Day following your 30 minutes of sweat creed. That's a beautiful thing to hear. My goal is to work out like a prisoner for hypertrophy and incite on daily pull, push, dip, squat will be counterproductive. I'm 29, 155 pounds, kind of a beginner. Hey man, get it in. That's a beautiful thing. As long as you're making progress, that's the key to life, key to happiness. As long as you're making progress and you're pleased, that's the key. Carrying on.
Are.
Put on your big boy pants and let us know who the pedophiles are, you said. You emphasized that the president and FBI director each had complete authority to release Epstein's client list. You said Epstein's black book is under the, quote, direct control of the director of the FBI. Look at this clip.
This is way off the topic, but who has Jeffrey Epstein's
black book?
Black book.
FBI.
But who?
Now, let me tell you what's really sad. The way they finesse us, it almost makes me want to cry, because you got two people who don't really care either way. They get on TV, they record it. They know they're going to get ratings, which means they're going to get paid. They're going to pretend as though they care morally. But at the end of the day, when that camera turns off, they're going back to their yacht. They're going back to their gala. They're going back to their high net worth network. That's what it is for them. That's all it is. These are two people pretending to disagree and pretending to care. And neither of them care. Because their life doesn't get impacted either way. The only way their life will get impacted negatively is if they go against the Epstein class. If they do something against the Epstein class. That's the only way their life gets impacted negatively. Come on. They don't care. And the worst thing is when you have all these Senate hearings or congressional hearings, and they're like, they're acting all official. Did you say on Tuesday that the Somalis have big foreheads? Did you say that? And the person's over here like, well, and they won't ever answer the question straight. They're like, I didn't say that the Somalis had big foreheads. I said if you calculated the hypotenuse, the outcome of that mathematical parabolic equation would indicate that they're in the top 3% of foreheads on the planet Earth. However, if you were to go over to Mercury or Jupiter, they do not have foreheads that are big compared to aliens. That's what I said. And then they're going back and forth and we're watching it like it has meaning. And these clips are going viral as though someone's getting confronted and something's going to change. People are getting confronted, but nothing's going to change. Come on. They're getting confronted, but it's all for show. It's all for show.
That's under direct control of the director of the FBI.
All right, so you were sworn in as director more than 200 days ago. Now the black book is under your direct control.
That part.
So why haven't you released the names of Epstein's co-conspirators in the rape and sex? Director Patel.
Because I was just saying what you needed to hear to get elected. Now I'm elected, so we just gonna keep the status quo going. Because I ain't trying to end up not alive. Come on, man. We know what it is. Uh-oh. This guy looks familiar. Eliyahu, that sounds familiar. Netanyahu, Eliyahu, Weinstein, who previously had a 24-year sentence, that's a long time, for a $200 million Ponzi scheme. That's a lot of money to steal, ladies and saints. We could use that. His sentence was commuted by President Trump. He has been sentenced to 37 years in prison for a new $41 million scheme. All right, now what I want you to pay attention to is this. I want you to pay attention to the part that This guy, Trump, is pardoning real criminals. The reason we know they're real criminals is because they get out of prison, then they commit another crime and go back. It's like there's no discretion. It's just like, give me some money and then I'll do you a favor. I'll pardon you. It's pay for play. It's crony capitalism. It's patronage. It's evil. Do you know how evil you have to be to steal $200 million, which obviously was from a number of people, get pardoned, which is like, it has to be a godsend, and then reoffend? You could only do that if you knew you were plugged into the system and nothing could touch you. You steal from the people who are not chosen because you are special and they are not special. Come on now. That's all it could be. Because I tell you what, if I got sentenced to a quarter century in prison and I got out, however I got out, oh boy, I'm about to be on the straight and narrow. I'm about to be behaving, following the laws.
Let's be honest, he's a racist. He doesn't like black or brown people coming into the United States. White Afrikaners, sure.
That part.
Roll out the red carpet.
That part.
But black or brown people, nope, not allowed. I would not be here today if not for the translators that I had in Iraq.
I'm sure.
They saved our lives more than once. And that's why veterans are so pissed off about this. Because we've fought like hell to get them out of Afghanistan, and now Trump wants to just send them back home to that murderous regime where they'll be killed. And it's not just in Afghanistan, but that just shows how morally...
Now, this white fella right here who is trying to take the moral high ground, do I believe he's a good guy? Nah, I think he's just running his propaganda campaign. Because just the fact that you were in Afghanistan in a military capacity, maybe you were not a good guy. I get it, following orders, totally understand that, but don't try to get on your high horse. You were over there catching bodies, my boy, and that's not good. And then you call them a murderous regime. What, for fighting back? That's murderous? Murderous is the idea that America is separated by the Atlantic Ocean, and for some strange reason, you think that America's freedom and democracy can be found in Kabul, Afghanistan. That's weird. You're probably the murderer. Can't say I believe or respect you. You are accurate to say that Trump's a racist, but are you not one? Maybe you are too. And you're just calling him out because he's on the other side of the aisle.
Morally corrupt. He is, let's be honest, he's a racist. He doesn't...
Yeah, I mean, that's a fact. That's a phys act. But we always knew that. That wasn't new. Trump's America. Job cuts in October hit highest monthly level in 22 years. Well, Donald, it turns out that if you don't increase the skill of people in an increasingly complex world where AI wipes out jobs, not Mexicans, but AI, you're going to have some problems. Yeah, U.S. Coast Guard will no longer classify swastikas and nooses as hate symbols. Oh, well, I guess bring that on down to the barbecue. Yeah, man, my grandfather going down into my grandbody. My granddaddy got in one of them Confederate flag. Gonna bring that down. Bring that rope too, boy, in case we catch one around here. Oh, yeah, mom. This is blatant. And I tell you the funny thing, too. I respect what history has taught. What do I mean? When the black devils of South Africa, the Zulus, said, we have a June 30th deadline. You must go. Me, personally, I would have packed up, dipped. That's just me. There were some Africans there that were like, they're not going to hurt us. It'll be okay. The government going to protect us. Then things went left. Yeah, don't be foolish. There were some people in Germany when the Deutsches Arbeiterspartei told them that they needed to leave. They were like, 9, it'll all be okay. We've been in Germany for years, centuries. We're Germans too. Nah, my boy, Kristallnacht occurred and you figured out like it can go left. No one's exempt from contempt. I'm a true believer in that. We as human beings have a thin layer of civility, especially when you're dealing with certain demographics, thin layer. It can always go left. Black people in particular, Latinos are figuring it out right now. ICE, yeah, y'all figuring it out right now. Black people are over here like, I'm a foundational Black American. They can't take me out. Brody, you don't remember slavery, nigga? They did much worse than asking you to leave. Asking you to leave is light work. That's light work. They whipped you, renamed you, stole your religion, stole your history, robbed you of your language, and took advantage of your women and children. You don't think they'll flip on you again? History is a teacher. These are the same people. Oh, and by the way, I would say go ask a Native American. Ain't none of them around though. Okay? They ain't around here to ask. Okay? Let that be a lesson to you. Let that be a lesson. It's like people are standing around not learning a damn thing. You heard me? It's like they ain't seen the world spin before. Shout out to Cameron. He writes, I'm missing your content due to the Patreon censorship. Can you transfer my membership to Peace to the Saints so I can access all the content again? Peace to the Saints. So you'd have to cancel your membership on Patreon because I don't own Patreon. So you just cancel it there and then just sign up at peacetothesaints.com. I would absolutely facilitate that for you, except that I literally cannot. And I cannot take your payment information from a platform I don't own and then put it onto one that I do own. So you'll have to do that. And I appreciate the support. We welcome you and looking to having you. And I also acknowledge Oliver. He writes, Peace of the Saints. Why do women say they want to get married and have children after they are done traveling and fulfilling all of their ambitions? I recently heard a woman say this, and I kid you not, she was already 28 years old. When we encounter a woman like this, how should we go about it? I wouldn't take them seriously until they display the traits of being a wife mother. But I would always be, a little disappointed, like, especially if you're, when you say, why do they do it, to answer that question first, they do it because they weren't raised right in terms of their family. They were raised in a backwards culture in terms of the hells of North America. And thirdly, their self-interest and hedonism. But you met her, maybe she's a good woman, test it out, maybe an opportunity, but test it out. That's the key. And also, you need to be hard on her. Ain't no Mr. Nice Guy. Shorty, you 28, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34. We don't have time to be playing games. You need to come in the door knowing what it is and be happy to execute on your duties. Straight like that. Armed thug who fired his weapon during the January 6th insurrection. That for sure is a crime. ×2. Was pardoned by Donald Trump. And of course, he's going to pardon his rioters, right? The guys who tried to stage a coup on his behalf. He's been arrested for kidnap and R to the A to the P-E-E. It seems like a lot of people that Trump pardons seem to go back to jail. I guess because they're criminals. Interesting.
Welcome back to Green Cards for Me, but not for thee, where I expose MAGA immigration hypocrisy, one unhinged hypocrite at a time. And today, we're talking about the loud, proud, far-right, festering piece of flesh that is Laura Loomer. And shocker, once again, the call is coming from inside the House, because this self-proclaimed white supremacist.
And this one looks bizarre. You hear me? And she looks bizarre. I'm gonna just leave it at that. But hey, check this out. You know that we are being ruled by a small, dangerous group of people. This Laura Loomer person who the establishment media talks about her, the media that's most directly controlled by the American government, the technocrats, right? Definitely she is a part of the elite. But the people don't know her or respect her really. I have like 3 times as many followers on Instagram as her. 3 times. So you ask yourself, well, how is she in position when no one knows her and she has no personal accomplishments? It should make you think, like, how's that possible? Like she should be way more famous than I am on Instagram because she's like on the establishment media. It's kind of like RFK Jr. It's like, how did he become a factor in politics, which is mostly the job of speaking well and looking good, both of which he fails at on a consistent basis?
Supremacist, anti-immigrant, America First extremist who recently suggested feeding all 65 million Latino immigrants in the United States to alligators.
That's crazy.
Is an anchor baby. That's right. Laura Loomer was born in Tucson.
Wait, what's that on his head? What is that? That look familiar. The police show up. Who was that? What was on his head? Oh, he look like a man. Give me some more details. He look like a man. Can you describe him? He look like a man. Yeah, okay. I guess now I know why Laura Loomer was in position. I think it has all been revealed. Shout to Majesty writes, Shorty looked like Larry Bird in the face. Or a bird flew into her face. One or the other. But you can only say so much about certain people.
Tucson, Arizona in 1993. That makes her 32 years old. She was born to Jeffrey Loomer, an American rheumatologist, and Joanna Hill, a British nurse. She was literally just visiting from the UK on a tourist visa when they met. And when she gave birth to Laura, still not a US citizen. So that makes Laura the exact anchor baby.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, she is. Ugh. Now, the funny thing is when people come out and they expose this contradiction, they don't realize that exposing the lies, exposing the hypocrisy does not stop the lie. It doesn't stop the hypocrisy. It doesn't stop the hypocrite or the liar from doing what they do. The truth only impacts good people. You got to be a good person for the truth to have any meaning to you. So the wicked only understand power, force. That's all they understand. You must communicate in a language that they understand. Shout out to Ronell supporting the work, came in via Cash App. Appreciate you supporting the work. Yes. So that's how I know that people are misguided when they start talking about the truth. Boy, the truth doesn't matter. No, sirree, Bob. The truth is not a factor. Shout out to Doc AJC3 writes, entrance fee and greeting. Peace and thanks. We appreciate you. Welcome. May we all welcome him. We should have a warm environment here, unlike out in the world where people rush by each other with no regard for the human dignity of other people. Trump pardons Nevada Republican who stole $70,000 from police memorial fund. Here's the kicker: to pay for plastic surgery and her daughter's wedding. These people are truly degenerate. Now, this is ironic because the conservatives are so pro-police. This one was stealing from the police memorial fund, but we forgive it. And then to show that these Christians are not really Christians, she invests in vanity. Oh, extraordinary. And in the Western culture, who's supposed to pay for the wedding? The father of the bride. So you guys in the hells of North America, you captives, you've been taught a culture, get married before you carry. You've been taught a culture, the father of the bride pays for the wedding. They don't even live by the culture they espouse. You've been taught about Jesus. You've been taught about forgiveness. But they enslaved you. They killed all the Native Americans, and they're kidnapping the president of Venezuela. They're bombing schoolgirls in Iran. How could you follow anything they say? They don't behave according to what they say. It is for thee, not for me. That's what we're living in.
Of course, the countries, Cuba, Venezuela, and Nicaragua with Russia relationships. Why this region matters with all of its rich resources and rare earth elements. You've got the lithium triangle, which is needed for technology today. 60% of the world's lithium is in the lithium triangle: Argentina, Bolivia, Chile. You just have the largest oil reserves, light sweet.
So these are the devils just telling you straight up what it is. Hey, we're here to steal. We're here to steal, buddy. That's what it is. In terms of trying to get unblocked, I'll say it again. You have to take your YouTube URL. And so what I mean is go to your YouTube channel, look in the address bar, cut that out, paste it into an email, send it to the email address below, and we'll be able to put that through to get you unblocked. Appreciate you.
Sweet crude discovered off of Guyana over a year ago. You have Venezuela's resources as well with oil, copper, gold.
Now, let me tell you something. Notice the date. This was November 2025. This is before they invaded Venezuela. They already had plans to steal. The greatest thieves on earth, I tell you. They already had their plans to steal, ladies and saints. They manufacture a crisis. They claim that this leader is a dictator. He's killing his own people. That's their favorite line. He's killing his own people. He's a monster.
We have the Amazon, lungs of the world. We have the 31% of the world's fresh water in this region too. I mean, it's just off the charts. We have a lot to do. This region matters. It has a lot to do with national security. And
how can these conservatives be taken seriously? What's conservative about a woman in a military uniform? I thought conservatives believe that she should be in the kitchen. But here she is cooking up war plans and she hasn't even won a fist fight. Baby cannot win a fade, but she's cooking up war plans. And then these people say they're conservative. Please stop it. Dr. AJC3 writes, no comment at the moment. Just want to contribute to the black man's work. I appreciate you. Peace of the saints.
And we need to step up our game.
Which means we need to do more stealing and killing. And this is when we start to get into the same problem that the USSR ran into. It says that Trump canceled the job reports and the report on GDP. And I think that that's a sign that both of those reports were unfavorable. But what's most important is that it shows that our society is relying on lies, that the truth is increasingly undervalued. And when you don't start from the truth, you cannot chart a course. It's like if you're using GPS and you want to get to New York City, but you don't put in the real address of where you're at, you don't acknowledge where you are today, you cannot successfully arrive anywhere. And that is the problem that the administration, the Trump administration, is lying to the people, but he wasn't the first administration. The lies get more grand every new administration. Yes, indeed. But the question is, when will the people rise up? Maybe never. And what I realize is that the people are going to catch an L, but the saints shall not. And that's why we have an organization, a global organization, to make sure that at least you and I are taken care of. Everybody out there, hey, do what you do. We gave you a chance, but you and I need to be taken care of, because I can assure you the fat cats in the government, they are taking care of themselves and each other, their friends, their families.
What we know is that he comes here from Afghanistan in the summer of 2021. He applies for asylum in December of 2024. Now he goes through another vetting process involving that, and he's approved for asylum in April of this year under the Trump administration. What we know is that he comes here from Afghanistan in the summer of 2021.
Now that sounds interesting. Trump, the racist, accepts in a guy who comes from Afghanistan, which is certainly a place we should be suspicious of accepting people from, legal asylum, and then he ends up being the National Guard shooter. It's just, I don't know, that's interesting. So, Marquette, are you saying that Donald Trump has been telling us, we got to get the Mexicans out. I mean, the Mexicans, they can make good tacos, but sometimes they bring us beef, and I'm not talking carne asada. You know, the Mexicans, they have to go. They're all criminals. They all, you know what they do. I don't want to say it, but we've seen the numbers. They're huge. The Mexicans, they have to go. They're criminals, okay? And then he brings in an Afghan who basically does way worse than what he's saying that the illegal aliens here are doing. He imported crime is what Trump did. He imported crime. Interesting. And I'm guessing he's not like taking responsibility, fessing up, so to speak, is my guess. Now, this is what really bothers me. And this is, it shows you how much political theater impacts our minds. And I've even been victim of it, you know, the political theater of RFK, like, you know, we have to stop I have to stop sounding like Elmo or Oscar the Grouch. Well, Trump canceled PBS, so there's no Sesame Street, but you old heads, you know I sound like Oscar the Grouch. And I'm pretending I'm going to make you healthier, but the truth is Trump regime approves use of additional cancer-linked PFA chemicals to be sprayed on U.S. crops. So basically, what I'm saying is we're spraying cancer on your food. You're eating cancer. Like that's crazy. And America did not ever have good consumer protections. There are a lot of foods that you cannot get in Europe because they're not really foods. You know, the same chemicals that are in a yoga mat are in Subway sandwich bread. You just cannot use the same ingredients in Europe because it's illegal. Because at some level they are trying to protect their citizens. I know it sounds strange, government trying to protect the people. I know it's weird. It's weird. Shout out to the ballers. Shout out to Mamba. He writes, looking to connect with Bay Area, South Bay Saints. I appreciate your work, diligence, and dedication. You inspired me to get my tech company working and on the way to raising 2 million. Peace to the Saints. Give that man a round. Yeah, I wish I had a sound effect. I would press it right now. Give that man a round of applause. That's a beautiful thing. Definitely tap in with the Yay Area section. We have some great brothers over there. You're going to want to tap in with Preston. Mamba, if you have any issues at all getting linked up with Preston, shoot me a DM or an email. We'll make sure that you're linked up. And congratulations on your success. We want to see more of it. Shout out to Mr. Logan writes, peace. Oh, and did I say baller alert for Mr. Mamba? That was second baller alert today. Darian writes, peace to the Saints. Tuition. Yes, indeed. We appreciate you. Carrying on. Yes, they're spraying death on the foods. President Trump ends temporary protected status for 353,000 Haitians. That's a lot. Mass deportations set to begin, and they have begun. Now, here's the sad thing is Haiti clearly is a place that is in disrepair. So while you send people back to Haiti, and mind you, Haiti's not only in disrepair because Europeans, namely the French, have robbed it blind for so long, but also the Americans have went in and been a destructive force. I also wrote a paper on that. So it's like they go in, destroy the place, and then act shocked that it's in bad shape. And now they're sending the Haitians back into a failed state, which they made failed, they meaning the devils that run our government. And all the while you accept the white Afrikaners from South Africa, which is a society that is doing just fine, And that, my friends, is racism in a nutshell. In a nutshell. Yes, indeed.
You know she doesn't own any casinos in America, right? Do you know where she owns casinos? She's Israeli.
Uh-oh.
She made her wealth in Las Vegas.
Uh-oh.
She still owns some stake in the Las Vegas Sands Corporation, which runs a couple casinos, but that's not where her money is now. That's not where her billions are generated.
Well, where are her billions generated? And you see, there's a lot of people of a certain demographic that keep on coming up. We're reviewing Trump's failings. There's certain people, certain types of people, they keep on showing up. Curious. Very curious. You might call it a pattern, maybe a coincidence, but seeming like a pattern. Shout out to Jorge supporting the work using the stripe link. We appreciate you. May I also acknowledge via PayPal? Shout out to Cameron. He writes, thank you for the work. Appreciate it. And what is the nice headgear you have there, Peace of Saints? This is called an udang. For those of you who have been to Bali, shout out to my cultured and sophisticated viewers. Carry on.
They're generated in Macau and Singapore, which are both under the auspices of the Chinese Communist Party.
That's actually true.
So why is it?
But Singapore, maybe not so directly. Macau, completely 100% controlled by the Chinese Communist Party. But hey, money's money, right? Money's money.
That one of Trump's top advisors, a woman who seems glued to his side, her ridiculous face is constantly popping up, smiling like an idiot, with her hair going everywhere. You know, being congratulated by Trump for being such an Israeli patriot.
Uh-oh.
Her billions, her entire wealth is in the control of the Communist Party of China.
You know, the interesting thing is that there's a certain religions that they don't believe in usury, which is to say interest or riba. They don't believe in gambling. They believe it's a vice. But they're like, look, we don't gamble. Look, we don't charge each other interest, but we'll charge you interest. That's kind of messed up. Or is that just me? I think that's messed up, right? It's not, doesn't seem to, anyway, whatever, carrying on.
Who could come in at any moment, and you know they're not shy about it. China, unlike America, will just throw a billionaire's ass in prison. If a billionaire misbehaves, according to the Chinese Communist Party, that company's theirs now. And he's in jail. Somebody else is put at the head.
That is a fact.
That's exactly what they would do to Miriam Adelson if she didn't play ball with them. I don't know what exactly she does to play ball with them. But if China is Trump's biggest enemy,
no, it's not.
Why would they allow Trump's biggest contributor,
that part,
to fund Trump off of money she makes in casinos that they control?
Hello.
You know she doesn't own any casinos in America, right?
Hello.
Do you know where she owns casinos?
Listen, and you know this is not new. You might be thinking, man, this is crazy diabolical. You're saying that the elite around the world collaborate with each other. Yeah, and when they have fallings out and they disagree with each other, they send the sons of poor men, and now the daughters as well, of poor men to fight it out. Fight it out while let's go to the polo match. Let's check the African-American, the Serena Williams sisters at the tennis match. Let's go to the Open or the Kentucky Derby, darling. You know, they don't have direct conflict. They let the poor fight. And it's not new that the aristocracy of various nations have relations that are positive and good and not deadly with each other. So, for example, the Tsar of Russia, the Kaiser of Germany, the Queen, King of England, these people all intermarried. The French Emperor or King, the Bourbon Kings, these people all intermarried. So the European blood is all mixed up. You might have someone who's a Habsburg or someone who is of this particular royal family. They might be in the royal family of Poland or of Hungary, but they might have German blood. They might have Russian blood. These people always intermarried. So while the everyday peasants, look up to them as, like our pure blood leader example, and it's like, you're the Queen of England, but you're a full-blooded German, right? None of this stuff has meaning. It only has meaning to you dweebs. And that's why it saddens me when you got a black girl talking about, oh, I'll wait till I'm married, and she's 31 years old. And it's like, sis, you need to be on a program. There's no culture. There's no family looking out for you. There's no organization or structure facilitating things for you. You need that. You kind of missed the bus. Now you need to be placed into a family and you need to operate under some order. You see, you're following the rules of rulers who are not even the heads of your tribe. They're not your chief. And they're making rules for not even really you, for people who are of their same demographic. But here's the kicker. They don't even really care what happens to these people, right? How can you look up to a president who has no moral authority? Divorce after divorce after divorce. Perversion, entanglements with adult actresses, huge amounts of corruption and theft. Epstein Island. Come on. Come on. And speaking of that which is evil and wrong, in case your appetite wasn't filled, and it apparently we can go on forever with Trump's wrongdoings. I'm here for it. If you guys are here for it, I'm here for it. UK Special Forces, and this is why when people are like, I served your country, I served the country, I protected your life, I protected your freedom. I'm like, did you though? I don't know, my boy. I've never felt unfree because of some Muslim dude. I've literally never had a bad experience because some Muslim dude on the other side of the planet Earth. That's never happened one time. Not one time ever at all. Mostly it's been the American government, mostly. And just like the white supremacists who just made a comment, these people are devils. And these are their works. These are the works of the white man today. UK Special Forces shot toddlers in their beds in Afghanistan. Do I believe it? 100%. Marquette, why do you believe such a thing? That doesn't seem particularly evil. No, it seems extraordinarily evil. And it aligns perfectly with their history. It aligns perfectly with their history. It lines up with all of the evidence. So yeah, I believe it for sure. But you don't have to believe it because a lot of this stuff is declassified, documented, and on record. The only thing that's not on record is the consequence or the punishment. Why? Because there is no consequence and punishment when the judge and the courts are themselves corrupt. Come on now.
Hello, I'm former Honduran President Juan Orlando Hernandez. I just received a full pardon from President Trump despite trafficking 500 tons of snow cane into the United States. Hello, I'm the White House press corps. You also took millions in bribes from the cartels and gave them grenade launchers.
Damn.
Why are you being
I need a
pardoned?
grenade launcher.
Trump's buddy Roger Stone says that a pardon from me will help overthrow the Honduras' current liberal government. Conveniently, this would also protect Prospera, which is a private tech bro utopia in Honduras founded by billionaire allies of Trump. In Prospera, they make their own laws governing everything from crypto to unlicensed medical procedures. Why would you tell me that? Hello, I'm former Honduran President Juan Orlando Hernandez. I just received a...
Wait, hold on. So I thought Trump doesn't like the Latinos. No, it's not true. I love the Latinos. I love the... Maria, tell them I love you. I love the Latinos, especially if they can help. And they're very helpful people. They're very helpful people. I love the Latinos. It's true. It's true. I mean, no one loves the Latinos more than I do. Here's the thing. Did bro say ton? Like how many tons of cocaína? The white? So basically, when you say that the illegal aliens are here committing crimes like drug dealing, for example, is a crime, you're not actually concerned about crimes per se, because you did a lot of pardoning of criminals. You're concerned maybe about if they're like, are they my criminals or just general criminals? If they're my criminals, they're not so bad. If I could use them for something, or if they'll pay, they're not so bad. Because Trump is clearly not so against drug dealing or killing or theft or corruption, because he's pardoned killers, thieves, criminals of all variety. And the only thing they have in common is that they're high-level people. They're high-level criminals. They're very dangerous criminals. They don't steal food. They don't steal small amounts of money. They steal hundreds of millions. That's what they have in common. And frankly, that's precisely why it should be so scary. The scale that these devils operate at and the fact that he's willing to release these bad actors back into society. And we have a significant amount of data that his efforts in doing so have led to America being less safe and crimes being recommitted. Extraordinary. And all the information's out there. So if you ever wonder, why do I get sad about this stuff? Why do I get mad about this stuff? It's because, you guys suffer. It's like you suffer quietly.
The Trump administration issued a travel ban for 19 countries, including Afghanistan. Special immigrant visas, which is a legal pathway to get here, which we know many Afghans have utilized to come into the country, have now been paused since the tragic shooting last week. Refugee admissions were suspended for Afghans from this administration on day one, and refugee admissions into the country right now are essentially at zero, with the exception of Afrikaners fleeing persecution in South Africa. The Trump administration issued a travel ban for 19 countries, including Afghanistan. Special immigrant visas, which is a legal pathway to get here.
What she didn't mention about that travel ban, let's see if
The
it's
Trump
in the
administration.
notes. That travel ban is mostly black countries. Shocker. The blacks.
The mayor of Minneapolis, Jacob Frey, is saying that he's actually proud to have the largest Somali community in the country, and his police chief.
Well, then he's a fool.
Oh!
Well, his police chief is also saying
I wouldn't be
that
proud to have the largest Somalian.
That was crazy.
Look at their nation. Look how bad their nation is. It's not even a nation. It's just people walking around killing each other. Look, these Somalians have taken billions.
Yo, like that wasn't even reasonable. He said it's not even a nation. It's just people walking around killing each other. Now, this is ironic because you have to remember he is like a very murderous character, right? He literally stated that he would wipe Iran from the face of the map. He would end their civilization, which is basically saying, I will commit crimes against humanity against you. That's what he threatened. And he's saying that the Somalis are just basically walking around killing each other. They don't play soccer. They don't study. They don't read Quran. They don't do anything. They just walk around like, hey, boom, 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 boom. That makes perfect sense, Donald. That makes utter sense.
Billions of dollars out of our country. They've taken billions and billions of dollars. They have a representative, Ilhan Omar.
Now, this is particularly strange when he's saying they've taken so much money out of our country, when he's pardoned people who have embezzled billions of dollars. So it's like, it's not the fact that they've embezzled money. It's the fact that they're black.
She shouldn't be allowed to be a congresswoman, and I'm sure people are looking at that. And she should be thrown the hell out of our country.
Damn.
And most of those people, they have destroyed Minnesota, okay? That beautiful land, that beautiful state. It's a hellhole right now. And the Somalians should be out of here. They've destroyed our country. And all they do is complain, complain, complain. You have her. She's always talking about the car.
Now, the thing that has to be concerning about this is the fact that he's talking about the Somalis as a monolith, which is to suggest that they're all the same because they're Somalis and there's no diversity of opinion, there's no diversity of intelligence. They're all one thing, which is quintessential racism and bigotry. The idea that these people are all the same, so we can just do away with them. They have no value. They're a danger. And frankly, me, I am not the biggest fan of Somali women, but this is not quite right. Shout out to my Somali brothers, though. Good brothers, very smart engineers, all that. The women, I'm still waiting for them to show me something. I'm still waiting to be impressed. In a second, I'm going to be over here standing next to Trump like, Donald, I agree with you. I agree. The Somali girls, the IQ, not high, not very high. I know some. I have Somalis in my family. No, not really, but I've seen a lot of them on TV. Not very smart. Not very smart. They work for CNN, fake news.
The Constitution provides me with...
Wait, why did he say it like that? The Constitution. Why he puckering up his lips? I can't even imitate his lips because I have lips. Like, the Constitution. I don't know why he's talking like that. It's so strange. What's up with this guy?
Go back to your own country and figure out your Constitution. All she does is complain about this country. Without this country, she would not be in very good shape. She probably wouldn't be alive right now.
Damn.
So Somalians, considered by many to be the worst country on earth.
Actually, that would be Israel. And if we're keeping it a bean out here, right? That'd probably be Israel, low key. But damn, bro said she would be not alive if she was in Somalia. Bro's just talking like Somalia is just an utter hellhole.
I don't know. I haven't been there. I won't be there anytime soon.
That's crazy
I
as
hope.
well.
But,
that's also crazy to say you've never been there, but to have made 3 provocative statements on how bad it is. It's like, come on, Brody. That doesn't even make sense.
what Somalia, what the Somalian people have done to Minnesota is not even believable. It's not even believable.
The mayor of Minneapolis, Jacob.
He didn't even describe what it was that they've done. He just says, it's not believable. Let's see. President in history has abused the pardon power. Now, mind you, this was in 2025. So this has gone way out of control. I think he's in excess of 3,000 pardons at this point, ladies and saints. I think the man has made more than 3,000 pardons at this point, okay? So I'm going to read out where he was in 2025. It says, no president in history has abused the pardon power like Trump. He's already handed out more pardons than all recent presidents combined. That lets you know somebody's doing something wrong. They're talking about every president that has ever existed in the United States of America. Added together, he has given more pardons than every last one of them. I think based on that, we can presume that there's clearly some level of fraud and corruption occurring. Clearly. And it's really sad because in his case, he's selling the pardons. Let's be honest, he's selling them. He's not selling them outright on a goddamn online e-commerce store, but there are ways to buy them.
The horrific story of an American war crime. A timeline. September 2nd, 3 a.m., San Juan de Unare, Venezuela. 11 men wake early, say goodbye to their families, and gather at the shore. By 6 a.m., they depart in a 30-foot flipper-style wooden craft heading northeast into the Caribbean. It is 9 a.m. A U.S. surveillance drone tags the vessel as a possible target. By 10 a.m., analysts decide its speed means it must be a drug runner. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth, playing pretend battlefield commander, orders SEAL Team 6 to kill everybody, leave no survivors. Warnings are broadcast telling the boat to...
And I want you guys to know that this is why the world hates 2 countries. America is one of them. I can't say the other one. You're just going to have to figure that out on your own. But the world hates 2 countries because they're just unrepentant killers. But the problem is that the good peoples of the earth are not fighting with effective means. We're trying to use silly things like the truth, freedom of the press. Hell nah. You're going to have to up your war game. You got to use some real warheads on these people. Because what you're seeing is that there is no rule of law. And it used to be that you, at least if you were a white Anglo-Saxon Christian, you could expect a little bit of fairness. That they ain't even got that for you now, because a white Anglo-Saxon Christian is not a thing, because it's a whole different religion and ethnic group that's running the country now. Come on now. Come on now.
To stop. There is no evidence the wooden boat had a radio, and it is not in U.S. waters. When the drone approaches, the crew turns back toward shore. A fleeing, unarmed boat is no threat under any definition of law or common sense. Hegseth then gives the fire authorization to United States Special Operations Command, which passes it to the task force commander, who forwards it to the strike platform, likely an MQ-9 Reaper. The drone fires, and 9 men die instantly. The overpressure of the blast collapses lungs, liquefies organs, and causes the brain to slam fatally inside the skull. The heat flash burns skin and hair, and shrapnel dismembers. Those killed immediately are, in a grim sense, the lucky ones. 5 minutes later, surveillance reports survivors clinging to debris.
I think this is about to get dark.
Hegseth insists he'd already left the room, a claim that defies operational reality. He's not sitting through an hour-long operation and then leaving before the strike is confirmed. It's just a silly lie by a scared boy who is in way over his head. A second strike is ordered. The survivors are killed. Hours later, the White House releases a triumphant video, conveniently editing out the second strike where the survivors were murdered. And then they did it again.
And that is the government that we're under. And you know, the truth is, the American government is, in fact, more aggressive and more vicious than Germany was leading up to World War II. That's a fact. And we're living under that kind of regime, but it's like it's like they don't get it. It's like they won't understand until it's too late. And that is the nature of humankind. That's why immigrants stayed in South Africa when the vigilantes said, hey, June 30th is going down. Immigrants stayed, June 30th came, and then people wonder why they're getting looted, robbed, and attacked. Well, because you didn't listen to the barbarians tell you what they were about to do. You didn't believe them. You assumed that they were like you, which means they have a soul, they have a heart, they have a conscience. They don't. And you see, it's really difficult because we often project. It's hard. Sometimes it's hard to be truly empathetic and to understand that which is outside of ourselves. Gentleman writes, Myron swears getting online and talking about the truth is something honorable and in pursuit of an actual goal. Frauds. Oh yeah, I mean, what do these guys know about the truth? They give advice on dating, but they use sugar baby websites. I mean, come on. That's the most fraudulent thing on earth. Imagine claiming that the government is corrupt and you used to work for the government. Come on. I mean, bro is a part of the system. Imagine teaching masculinity and you host Destiny, who's a Skittle guzzler. Come on.
Again and again and again, and continue to do so even today.
And imagine being conservative. This stuff is just so false.
Of high debt and even higher costs. Mom and pop bankruptcies are surging. New record. Over 2,200 have filed under the subchapter, is it V or 5? I don't even know.
So that's really sad to see bankruptcies increasing. This is letting us know that the economy is failing certain sections, probably those who are most vulnerable. Families are, of course, suffering. This is bad news, but what you'll hear Donald Trump mention is that the stock market is performing. Okay. Bankruptcies are up, but the stock market is performing, which he's basically saying, my friends are getting rich. I don't know about you, but there's money everywhere. You better come get you some. It's like, okay, my boy. It's cold-blooded and heartless. Anytime economic measures that relate to everyday people are mentioned, he kind of says, oh, that's not interesting. Shout out to Wayne, came in via PayPal. He writes, sending more tuition. I appreciate you. Shout out to those who step up. And again, this is the nature of humankind. You got Wayne and stepped up 3 times, and there's other people who watch for years and never support one time. This is human nature. And when you understand human nature, you can operate more effectively. The Book of Dark Truths is about human nature, and human nature can be dark. It really can. The gentleman, Mr. Monger, I did go ahead and do what I could to unblock you. So you should be unblocked. I did what I think does it. So I went through the back end of YouTube and just made that attempt. You'll have to confirm.
I don't even know. Rules this year up 8% compared to 2024. Okay, so Dagan, explain. This is like a relatively new way to declare bankruptcy. It came about in 2020. Is it representative of trouble among small businesses or what do you think?
No, it's not. And so I'm going to take issue with the entire framing of this segment.
So she's saying like, nope, I don't like the data. It doesn't sound good. We're on Fox News. Fox News supports Donald Trump. I don't care what the data says.
Okay.
Brian.
I got up at 3 in the morning to write this segment.
It's not.
Give me breakfast.
Record bankruptcies. No.
It's an easy get out of jail card.
Yes. Okay. So it's only been around
5
for 5 years.
4 actually.
4, Marcus. That's Marcus in the back.
So a record level of bankruptcies just doesn't matter type. Okay, all right, go off, sis.
Why did the president commute the sentence of David Gentile recently? He's a private equity executive. He served 12 days out of a 7-year sentence. Prosecutors said he defrauded $1.6 billion.
Damn, that's a lot.
With thousands of victims, including veterans, farmers, teachers. Why was he pardoned?
He issued a commutation for Mr. Gentile, who's the former CEO and co-founder of GBP Capital Holdings. Unlike similar companies, GBP paid regular annualized distributions to its investors.
So basically, she's about to give us a whole bunch of unnecessary information and distract us from the core question, which was, why did he pardon someone who stole literally $1 billion? And some of it was stolen from people that the government should respect, their tools, which is to say the military men, the men that they abuse. My brother's in the military, and you have to have a military, you have to have warriors, but you should also respect their life, value and cherish them, because they are what preserves the life of the nation, but we send ours around with no regard. We just risk their lives for anything. It's not even reasonable. Shout out to Frank supporting the work. I also acknowledge, shout out to Joshua. It looks like he booked a consultation for Sunday. Good. I'm glad it gives us a little bit of time because I got to do a little bit of traveling real quick. Looking forward to speaking.
Investors. In 2015, GBP disclosed to investors the possibility of using investor capital to pay some of these distributions rather than funding them from current operations.
That is called a Ponzi scheme. This woman literally described the exact definition of a Ponzi scheme, said it with a straight face, and acted as though the guy who was convicted of the crime shouldn't have been convicted. That's the definition of a Ponzi scheme. You take the money of an investor and you pay it out. You take an investor's money. You're supposed to invest it, but instead you paid it out. That's a Ponzi scheme. That's a scheme. That's a scam. You're taking investor money, but you're not investing it. That's so simple. I don't know. Understand. Me no understand. Shout out to Free World Boss. Came in with the baller alert. Shout out to the ballers. Balling. Third baller alert. Ballers are in the building. Yeah, this woman is basically, her job is defending that which is indefensible. That's her actual job. That's her actual job.
Even though this was disclosed to investors, the Biden Department of Justice claimed it was a Ponzi scheme. Oh,
it has to be a Ponzi scheme because she just described it. Before they used the word Ponzi scheme, I called it a Ponzi scheme. So clearly what you described is a Ponzi scheme. Extraordinary.
This claim was profoundly undercut by the fact that GBP had explicitly told investors what would happen. At trial, the government was unable to tie any supposedly fraudulent representations to Mr. Gentile. In short, again, this is another example.
So basically, she just said that we, the American government, because Donald Trump pardoned these people, so now we're going to start lying, we don't believe in our own criminal justice courts, which is also the government. So we, the executive branch, don't believe in the competence of the judicial branch. Okay, whatever. That was crazy.
Example that has been brought to the president's attention of a weaponization of justice from the previous administration, and therefore he signed this commutation.
So say that these people were defrauded.
I just read you a very detailed summary of why the commutation was made.
Why did the president?
Oh, that's extraordinary. So basically the commutation was made because Donald Trump does pay for play. This person stole $1 billion. I'm guessing they had a couple bucks to invest with Trump, and Trump says, hey, pay this, I can make it go away. No problem, it's no problem. My friend, you have a problem, it's no problem. Shout out to Mr. Brown, comes in via Venmo. He writes, peace of the saints, here to make my name known. Shout out to the real ones. Carrying on.
President commute the sentence of David Gentile recently. He's a private equity executive.
That's wild. It's not even worth asking questions to people who are guaranteed to lie.
The EPA is starting to allow the use of pesticides containing PFAS on food. It's part of an effort to roll back the regulation of what are called forever chemicals because they don't break down easily in the environment. Insane. Last week, the agency approved the use of 2 new pesticides that qualify as PFAS. It means that farmers could spread them on crops like romaine lettuce, broccoli, and potatoes. The Washington Post is reporting that agency plans to approve 4 more pesticides. Not much is known about their long-term impact, but PFAS have been linked to certain cancers, birth defects, and other health problems. In a statement to the NewsHour today, the EPA said it will provide transparent, science-based information on how the chemicals are evaluated.
Man, this is all marketing, right? You see, and this is no wonder PBS got shut down, right? Because that's PBS reporting. No wonder government defunded PBS. They don't want you having good information. But I have never heard or known so much about a government agent responsible for America's health as much as I've heard about this RFK Jr. I heard about him more than I ever hear about anybody.
The EPA is starting to allow the use of pesticides containing...
We should have known that there was a plan to take the... I can't even do this voice. It's probably destroying my vocal cords right now. Oh, more corruption. Goddamn, it's all about the money, huh? At least we know that these people are true capitalists. Goddamn, more theft. A Donald Trump Jr. backed startup has been awarded a $620 million Pentagon loan. Now, one thing we can say about the Trumps, they go big. They don't steal small. No peanuts, ladies and gentlemen. They're going for the whole enchilada. Yes, indeed, the whole enchilada. And it's quite ridiculous. Part of a $1.4 billion total project in a push for critical mineral supply. Donald Trump Jr.'s venture fund, 1789 Capital, invested in Vulcan Elements, a rare earth magnets startup. Marquette, what do they mean by startup? Well, I happen to know a lot about startups because I've done startups, several. That being the case, a startup is also known as an early stage company. Also known as a company that does not have a huge amount of liquidity, generally speaking, untested and new. So usually they're not going to get big contracts in general, especially not government contracts, because government usually has a very formal and rigorous process, unless niggas is cheating. And that is what appears to be happening right now. So that's quite sad to see because it actually puts our future as a country and our safety at great risk. You're using a startup. You're giving them nearly $1 billion to do something that they're not tried and tested in doing. That is a recipe for disaster. Oh, Marquette, that kind of reminds you of the reflecting pool in DC where he paid his former pool boy millions and apparently there's algae and problems in the reflecting pool. They get like that, I guess. Immigrants approved for citizenship, now this is cold-blooded, plucked out of line moments before their oath. So basically, bro did a undo. He hit the Uno reverse card on people's citizenship. Now, you know that's really grimy because they were all celebrating the night before, like, oh, mija, I finally am a citizen, mija. They were hugging and like kissing each other, eating ceviche. It was a great time. Long time coming. And this is really evil stuff because you know the kids are citizens because of birthright citizenship. But maybe your tia, your grandmother's not a citizen. They finally finished this long process and then they're about to walk up and kind of go through their graduation ceremony and some white dude from ICE or maybe even a black dude or a Latino dude, we do have traitors in our midst, showed up like, hey, excuse me, Consuela, I just need you to take this left right here, swing on out here, take this left. And Consuela's like, pero, I need to. And they're like, no, I'm sorry, Consuela, just swing to the left. That's truly cruel and evil. But this is the kind of folks we're dealing with. You check out my album, Marquettism. There's a song called Fire Upon Ice. I hope you can get the wordplay. There's only so much we can say. It's called Fire Upon Ice. And, you know, what ICE is doing is evil. I hear a lot of folks say, well, that's not us. Not yet. But even if it never would be, should we lose our humanity and say because we are not Hispanohablantes that they should suffer because they're not us? Well, that would make you kind of like as much a devil as the devils who are doing it now, wouldn't it? That's not what good people do. You don't watch evil and say, well, it's not happening to me. You're not a good person, okay? Do not become a devil.
The insane story
Not
of
another
Lil
one.
Donnie Jr.
Nah, this gotta be the
stealing
same
your
one before.
fucking money. We already know the Trump family is pulling in nearly $3 billion through crypto-based bribe schemes and another billion via licensing deals with companies and countries looking to curry favor. Now, it turns out that Donald Trump Jr. wasn't satisfied with just billions. He wanted more. With help from Pete Hegseth, the Pentagon pushed through multiple defense contracts to companies that directly benefit him. First, there's his company, Unusual Machines, a startup with zero defense experience, or any real experience at all, that somehow landed a contract to produce 25,000 drone motors. Then there's Firehawk Aerospace, backed by Trump Jr.'s venture firm. Despite no proven track record, it's receiving hundreds of millions in U.S. land and $25 million in funding to build a rocket engine factory using 3D printing. Next, there's Blink RX, handpicked in a no-bid contract to operate the Trump RX federal drug platform, likely worth hundreds of millions. And the coup de grace, Vulcan Elements, which just secured nearly $700 million in federal funds to mine rare earth minerals, money that feeds directly into Don Jr.'s pocket via his investment firm. To recap, Donnie gets back in power, fires fucking everyone, and then Jr. cashes in with nearly $1 billion in taxpayer money routed to sketchy, underqualified companies. I hope you liked working this last year, because a large portion of your labor went directly to paying for Jr.'s next bump. The
level. Listen, I'm sure most politicians are stealing, taking a little bit extra. But this right here, this is different. This is different. Now this is different right here. And the reason I use a term called the white organization, because they will call out the African dictators who are corrupt, or they'll lie and say that they are, Muammar Gaddafi. They'll call out the Latin American dictators who are corrupt and say, well, we have to replace, what was his name in Venezuela? Maduro, go get him. Maduro, go get him. We have awesome technology. You know, they just shot the laser. Everything stopped working. I can't tell you what we did. We shot a laser, but I can't say how it happened or what we did. It's 10 p.m. at night. It's an amazing operation. So efficient, so easy. And do the same thing in Iran, folks. It's going to be maybe take 2 or 3 days, maybe even 10 minutes. You never know. Who can say with these kinds of things? Bro's a nut. But the level of corruption that we're observing is monumental. It's comical. Trump says the U.S. will keep the seized Venezuelan oil tanker. This is basically called stealing. Piracy is the technical term for this. It's piracy. And, you know, the funny thing is white supremacists, they hate when you tell the truth about their history. You guys are the greatest thieves on earth. You're the greatest murderers on earth. And while they deny their history, in the present, they continue doing the same thing. It's like, God damn, you guys are saying that you're not killers and thieves and war criminals, but we don't even have to talk about the history. You're actually doing it still. It's kind of weird that you're denying it because you're actually doing it right now, though. And we're watching you. Like, we can actually see you. It's on the news type shit. Like, I could pull up a YouTube video of your war crimes, literally.
Your Royal Highness, the U.S. intelligence concluded that you orchestrated the brutal murder of a journalist. 9/11 families are furious that you are here in the Oval Office. Why should Americans trust you? And the same to you, Mr. President.
Now, who are you with?
I'm with ABC.
Why is bro acting like he's a gang member in L.A.? Blood, where you from? Where you from? Blood, I ain't trying to hear none of that. Where you from, though? Where you from? It's like, bro, she's a news reporter. You're in a press conference. It's a press conference. She's a news reporter. She's asking a journalistic question. What do you mean? Where are you from? Where are you from? Fake news. Fake news. Where are you from? Fake news. Like, bro, you don't need to know where she's from. Just, it's a press conference. It's actually designed specifically for the news media to ask questions. And you're pretending as though she's doing something that is out of order or uncalled for. Very strange. By the way, folks, this coming week, I'll be pretty busy. I can't do any consultations. I shouldn't say I can't, but I won't be doing any consultations. I'll be working on very serious deals. And also at the end of the month as well, I'll be traveling internationally. So I advise you, if you would like to book a consultation, you can go to peacetothesaints.com, scroll to the bottom. There's a link that says reads consultation. Hit that link, see what's available in the calendar, book it now, because I'll probably have to disable it soon, just because my schedule is very tight. So I'm advising you now, book it. It'll be probably cut off sometime soon. Shout out to Najar writes, keep up the good work, brother. We love you. I appreciate that. And I'm hoping that this is some strong love, because the hate is there. Mostly it's bots, but you know, those mentally ill people, you never know when they show up.
ABC News, sir.
You're with who?
ABC News, sir.
Fake news, ABC fake news, one of the worst in the business. But I'll answer your question. As far as this gentleman is concerned, he's done a phenomenal job. You're mentioning somebody that was extremely controversial. A lot of people didn't like that gentleman that you're talking about. Whether you like him or didn't like him, things happen. But he knew nothing about it, and we can leave it at that. You don't have to embarrass our guest by asking a question like that.
About the journalists, it's really painful to hear, anyone that been losing his life for, no real purpose or not in a legal way, and it's been painful for us in Saudi Arabia. We've did all the right steps of investigation, etc., in Saudi Arabia. And we've improved our system to be sure that nothing.
Bro, we already know who controls Brody, but he's more intelligent than Trump. See, Trump is and he's more refined than Trump. Now, the whites today are not what they used to be. And so instead of figuring out how to use some finesse, and that's why people like Barack Obama, not because Obama was not a monster, because he is and was, and judging from his policy, also a Skittle guzzler, but he had more finesse. And so he'd do you dirty, but he'd make you feel good about it. Trump, just disrespectful, straight up disrespectful, walk in with his meat out, disrespectful. And the Saudi fellow realizes that if you take a hard line or you fail to answer at any level, then you look more guilty. Instead, he tries to give a nice answer, and he says some things that are truisms. Well, we do not want any innocent person to die. Oh, duh. And everybody agrees with that. So he says some meaningless words, and then you can carry on. But Trump was Trump. Trump was Trump. Trump was trumping along.
Nothing happened like that, and it's painful, and it's a huge mistake, and we are doing our best that this doesn't happen again.
Your Royal Highness, the U.S. intelligence concluded
Your Royal Highness. We believe in democracy, but Your Royal Highness. U.S. seizes Nigerian-owned super tanker over alleged crude theft piracy allegations. Yeah, I think they're just stealing oil in general. And that makes sense because Trump has said, we're going to take the oil. So, I just kind of take him at his word. Anyways.
This can't be real life. What the hell did I just watch?
What the helly?
I've also announced a permanent pause on third world migration, including from hellholes like Afghanistan, Haiti, Somalia, and many other countries.
Listen, fuck you guys, but listen.
Why can't we have some people from Norway, Sweden, just a few? Let's have a few. From Denmark, do you mind sending us a few people? Send us some nice people, do you mind? But we always take people from Somalia. Places that are a disaster, right? Filthy, dirty, disgusting, ridden with crime. The only thing they're good at is going after ships.
If you are making
No, but hey, check this out. Here's the crazy part. We literally just saw a clipping of Donald Trump stealing ships 2 times. Stole one from Venezuela, stole one from Nigeria. Then bro turns around and says, Somalia. All they do, shoot each other and steal ships. It's like, bruh, you are doing the truth doesn't matter. It doesn't matter to these people.
Excuses or telling me that I'm taking that out of context, you are also fucking racist. That wasn't immigration policy. What he just said is, we don't want black people or brown people here anymore. He literally said he wants people from Norway, Sweden, and Denmark, all white as hell. And you people keep on acting like, oh, that's not what he meant. Fucking stop.
Yeah, no, that's for sure what he meant. He was pretty clear, in fact. But again, deception is the chief tool of the devil. Shout out to Jalen. He just went and got the quarter zip in that gorgeous sand color. That one will be going down, I believe, in 13 hours. We're going to take that one down because, of course, we want people to have the brand colors, which are black and red. But every now and then, stuff just looks good. We got a little limited release for the people, for the good peoples of the earth. For the good peoples of the earth. And also, I like limited release products because it helps me remember or like kind of see people's seniority in the organization, how long they've been rocking with the ism. When they come to the events, I'm like, oh, we haven't sold that sweatshirt for 2 years. You've been messing with the ism for a long time. Welcome, welcome.
He said it with his whole chest. He said these people are dirty, disgusting, and filthy.
Damn.
He reduced black and brown human beings to trash.
Damn.
And you're telling me that's not racism? Use your eyes and ears. This is them deciding whose skin color is worthy, who's clean enough, who's good enough, who belongs, and who should we keep out. They're not fucking hiding it, but what pisses me off more is all the fucking people clapping.
Vulgar, though.
Do you guys have that much hate in your heart?
Yes, they do,
This is
ma'am.
the same old racist playbook that America has been using. Whiteness equals
correct.
good people, and everyone else, you're a problem. You're a threat. I'm sick of this shit. I'm sick of people making
gonna do, though?
excuses for
What you gonna do,
racist
though?
assholes just
What
because
you gonna
we
do?
like their policies. If you didn't hear racism in that clip, that says
You're a
more
racist,
about
yeah,
you
for sure.
than me. This
No, she's 100% on point. I agree with her 100%. But the question is, but what you gonna do? And that's why we have the assassin, because we are at war. Will you be on the side of good or evil? Will you be on the side of having protection and also offensive capability, or will you just be out on your own to be victim? Shout out to Michael, came in using the Stripe link, as did Jordan. Good to see you again. Been a little while. And shout out to those who have just become members at peaceofthesaints.com. We have Mr. Mohammed. We welcome you warmly within this thing of ours. Shout out to Jing C. He writes, the content you do is always timely and exactly what the people need. Peace of Saints. I appreciate that. And also, I don't know if I'm all caught up with our communications. Shout out to Jinxie. He makes phenomenal kind of bouquet arrangements, flowers, all of the green things you need to enhance your home. And I'm just very excited to do business with him. He gifted me 2 beautiful arrangements. As soon as my lady saw them, she's like, oh, we need more of that. And I was like, okay, say no more. And it's really a pleasure to do business with the Saints, and we absolutely should. I hope that you guys support all of the Saints businesses because they're good, honorable, honest people, and you're going to have a great experience. They're going to make high quality products. Shout out to Mr. Reith. He writes, peace to the Saints, quote, you will suffer in silence and not know why, end quote. I know that hit us original people of the earth, whether some realized it or not. Quote, I'm watching on the TV and had to go to my phone on my other YouTube account to make sure to subscribe and like again. I appreciate you. And shout out to the folks. Oh yeah, and if you're watching right now and you didn't hit the like button, this would be a great time to hit the like button. 1, because you're still watching, you like it. And if not, you are a master hater. You need an award for your hating skills. But you may not have hit the subscribe button, and you absolutely should, because it'll let you know when I go live sometimes, but better than no times. So hit that subscribe button with the bell. It would help you out. Best case scenario, you join at peaceofthesaints.com in case they ever get me out of here, and they have done it before. But if they do it again, it'll be a permanent vacation. So just to stay connected to the movement, we recommend that you really join this thing of ours. You'll have a great time. We absolutely promise you. Carrying on.
Martin Luther King was a Marxist.
Damn.
And that he was for socialism, and a lot of the civil rights things that he advocated for were not really helpful. Now there's a lot of
We're not
research
helpful.
but we can argue about
Wow.
that. That's kind of what and also with personal life. My oldest daughter had a lot of trauma as a child. Something really terrible happened to her when she was very young that I would hope never would happen to any other child. And as a result of it, she's a lesbian, she's gay, and she's married to a woman. And sometimes that's a little bit of internal struggle for me because I believe that marriage is between a man and a woman, and I believe that scripture is very clear on homosexuality. But on the other side of that, I love her dearly. We are in relationship. And that's what Charlie Kirk's message was. It's like, we may not agree. My daughter knows where I stand biblically, but I love her. We're actually going to spend Christmas with her in Missouri. We love her.
I ain't even gonna lie, you doing more than I would have done. You heard me? I'm like, nah, that is out. That's out. But here's the weird thing. It's like, this is clearly a classroom, and the MAGA movement of white supremacy has empowered all of these intellectually inferior persons to start spewing out the hatred that they have held in. And it's very detrimental. And this is precisely why public school is no good for anyone. You heard her say that Martin Luther King was a Marxist socialist, and he did a lot of things in civil rights, which were mostly bad. Like, God damn. I don't even personally like Brody, but that's a bit too far. It's a bit too much, especially to a class full of white kids. It's like, come on, sis. You might as well just come out and say, here's a fat-faced black N-word. Like, hard, just throw it out there. Throw it out there, sis. You're feeling it.
We have a child, and I love my grandchild. And I love my daughter-in-law, which is weird to say, right? My daughter's married to a woman. But it is the reality. There's a Martin Luther.
And there you go. They're fake conservatives. Their kids are homosexuals. They're fake conservatives.
There's a politician named Michelle Fiore. She decides to incorporate a charity fundraiser to build a memorial statue for these two police officers killed in the line of duty.
Wait,
and so she
you got to listen to this one. This is crazy. Listen to this. He said Michelle Fiore, she wanted to build a memorial for two officers killed in the line of duty. Now that sounds plenty tragic and definitely sounds like something that should really touch the hearts of conservatives, because conservatives are pro-police no matter what. So let's hear what this conservative woman does. It's a nice, good, conservative white woman who likes a meal.
She raises $70,000 from donations. But instead of building the statue, she used the money to give herself plastic surgery and to pay for her daughter's wedding. After a while, people realized that this police memorial never materialized. FBI opens up an investigation into her reckless spending, finds out that she spent the money on this wedding and spent the money on the plastic surgery. Federal grand jury indicts her on fraud charges, takes it to trial. Government evidence, overwhelming, slammed her at trial. She's found guilty by the jury. 2 weeks before her sentencing, she was pardoned by President Donald Trump. What do you think about that?
Wow.
There's a politician named Michelle.
That was particularly evil, I must say. I mean, that's a high level of evil right there. But here's why it was so devious, ladies and saints. It was devious because if you're raising money for a memorial, you know that the memorial has to be built. So if you steal all the money and don't build it, you're going to get busted. Unless you're Dr. Umar, then you just stretch it out over 15 years because black people apparently are not the brightest. But if you are building a memorial for the whites, they might get mad when that memorial doesn't show up. So she knew she was going to get busted. I'm kind of wondering if she's of a particular religion because that's very brazen. That is very unreasonably reckless, even by thief standards.
Where were you born? In a little town called Stornoway, with the island of Lewis, way up in the Hebrides.
The Hebrides.
Way
in the Hebrides.
Island.
And did you live there for most of your life?
Oh, yes, I lived there. I grew up there. Came to New York, met my husband.
So you're telling me that Donald Trump's wives are all foreigners and his mom is a foreigner. Bro is barely American. I don't want to hear anything from Lil Buddy. He's barely American. His mom doesn't even have an American accent. what kind of weird twilight zone of white supremacy are we living in? It's not about being American. That's a lie. It's about being white. Because if it was about being an American, Elon Musk would have never gotten any airtime. Elon Musk is not an American. He doesn't have an American accent. He's just a white guy. But apparently being a white guy who just showed up is way better than being a Latino guy who's been here for 30 years or 3 generations. Or even a black guy who's been here for 400 years. It's white supremacy, ladies and saints. Nothing else. Shout out to Dominic. Comes in via PayPal. He writes, tuition, peace to the saints. Join the Sassin and see what life is about. Peace to the saints. We're in revolutionary times. Be a part of something that stands for something. Sassin or nothing. Hashtag Sassin values or nothing. Hashtag Sassin culture or nothing. Hashtag Sassin business or nothing. Hashtag peace to the saints. Appreciate you in a real way. In a real way. And I find it very strange and comical almost that human beings, and we're social animals, which is to say none of us are islands. None of us want to be isolated. But so many of you are, and you kind of fill in the gap with your dog or your phone or AI, living like half of a human, living like barely a human.
Chicken is now less safe to eat under Donald Trump. Why? Because Pilgrim's Pride Corporation, the second largest producer of chicken next to Tyson, gave Donald Trump $5 million for his inauguration. And what did they get in return? Trump's USDA is now going to ease regulations on chicken processing plants. Previous regulations only allowed 140 birds to be processed per minute. The new regulations will have 175 birds processed per minute. Can you inspect 2 chickens per second for diseases? Wow. No? Well, how about 3 chickens per second for diseases? Because those are the current USDA regulations.
That was really eye-opening. I appreciate how he broke that down. So he's saying the chicken that you eat, they're allegedly inspecting 3 separate chickens for all of the diseases that could hurt you as the consumer of the chicken. They're inspecting it for 1 whole second, 3 of them at a time. Listen. Who is getting bad? Goddamn it. Shout out to Mr. Simmons writes, peace to the saints. Are the Sassin boxing gloves still available? What would you recommend for a single 32-year-old, no home ownership to do with about 10K? Also have a small business that's coming together. Well, if you have a small business that's coming together, let's hyper-focus. Let's double down. Simplicity and oneness. Figure out how to improve profit margins and scale up. You know, sometimes people have money. It feels like it's burning a hole in their pocket, but it's always good to hold on for a great opportunity. So that's number 1. If your business is making money, then let's scale it if it's a scalable business. Otherwise, let's hold on for a proper opportunity. Me personally, I favor tech. You know, if that's not your leaning, don't mess with it. There's also real estate opportunities that'll be coming up because the economy is going to react to the Strait of Hormuz. It hasn't reacted yet, except for oil markets. I think there'll be more blood in the water, and that always creates opportunities. With regards to the Sassin boxing gloves, those have been taken down. So I think I have some glove recommendations at amazon.com/shop/the Saint and the Sinner. And if you don't see them any on there, let me know and I'll make sure that I get you a link because obviously I have a pretty strong sense of what's going to be good for your hands. And in boxing, your hands are going to need to last, right? No way around that.
Regulations, thanks to Pilgrim's Pride Corporation giving $5 million to Donald Trump's inauguration.
Did y'all see that guy that President Trump just pardoned? So check this out. This is Trevor Milton, and he is the founder and CEO of Nikola Motors. Nikola Motors was trying to be like the Tesla of the commercial shipping industry by presenting a line of trucks that ran entirely off electric. Well, halfway through this process, Trevor says, no, they're not going to run off electric. They're going to run off hydrogen fuel cells. And he gets a ton of investment. I'm talking about like near $1 billion of investment from both private shareholders and the government. Well, how do they feel so confident about this? Well, it's because he released this breathtaking video of one of his Nikola trucks just tearing through the fucking desert, completely powered by hydrogen fuel cells. And people were like, damn, that looks promising. And they gave him hundreds of millions of dollars. Well, it turns out that wasn't the case. Turns out the truck had no fucking engine and it had no fuel cells. It had nothing. It just had wheels and a chassis. And he took it up to the top of a high hill and just let it go. And just fucking filmed that shit. And that was his ticket into being,
That is what you call a finesse, ladies and gentlemen. It's wild when there are so many separate crimes, so many individual crimes committed under the Trump administration. The forever chemicals in the food, to me, is the most heinous one because it destroys your health and limits your life, but also the life of your children and their health growing up. And of course, it's going to affect the people who are low income. And it's just really sad because right as we speak, they may be eating something that is affected by these chemicals, which have cancer-causing agents and much else.
What does this shirt mean? It means that the Democrats are stupid and that Trump should be president. What are the three branches of government? The three branches of government: legislative. Oh, fuck me.
Oh.
He's drunk, probably.
Legislative.
Wah, wah, wah.
You don't help me. Judicial. She just said it, though. She said that. Yeah, judicial. I don't know
What
the
does
other
this
one.
have to do with politics, though?
Wow. The stupidity is extraordinary. And this is why I say the whites are not what they used to be. Bro said the Democrats are dumb. Then he could name the three branches of government, which I feel like you learned that kind of like in social studies in the 5th grade, maybe the 6th grade. Then the woman in the background, who is no smarter, she says, you're talking about the branches of the government. What does that have to do with politics? It's like, wait, what? Ain't no way. Please don't let her get pregnant. She is turbo dumb. Shout out to Tobias, came in by Cash App supporting the work. I appreciate you. Carrying on.
Those have to do with politics. I'm not well informed, but I am
appreciate
informed
that.
a little bit.
No, you're not, sir. No, you're not.
But you're tired of stupid Democrats. Yes.
Insanity.
What does this shirt mean?
If being hypocritical and delusional was a person.
I think she said it was sexy, didn't she? It was very sexy to be rich.
Whoa!
Didn't she say that?
So, sir, I just want to confirm, it's your testimony that E. Jean Carroll said that she loved being sexually assaulted by you? And when you're a star, they let you do it. You can do anything. Grab them by the pussy. You can do anything. That's what you said, correct?
Well, historically, that's true with stars.
It's true with stars that they can grab women by the pussy?
Well, that's what it's. If you look over the last million years, I guess that's been.
Did this nigga say? Yo, this man said, well, historically, it's true. If you look over the last million years, that's how it's been. I like to reach under. From the back, I reach under. I don't think we have ever seen a monster of this level. Just pure monster. Whew. We can't say he's not keeping it a bean. We got to give him that, right? He's keeping it real. He's keeping it real. Too real, in fact. I'm a little uncomfortable.
Largely true, not always, but largely true. I think she said it was sexy, didn't she? It was very sexy to be rich.
Like, this is when bro is tapped in with the Illuminati, what else is like the Boule, all of that. He tapped the Masons, all of that. Whatever the conspiracy theory is, bro is tapped in with it. Because this man has said and done too much. Too much.
Both parties should agree that fraudsters should be held accountable, which is why I can't understand why Trump would pardon this guy. This is Philippus Formus, and he stole more than $1 billion of your money from the government. He charged the government for fake claims without giving care, and gave people addicted to opioids more opioids to keep them in his facilities. Now, what, my friends, did he use our money for? $600,000 watches, a $1.6 million Ferrari, and a bribe for his son to take some kid's spot on the Pennsylvania basketball team. I mean, a guy that corrupt should go to prison for a long time, right? Well, he was sentenced to 20 years. Then came Trump. That man pardoned him and got him out of jail after he gave money to where his son-in-law wanted, of course. And that fraud went on to live happily ever after. Hurt thousands, steal billions, bank millions. That's how Trump rewards the theft of your money. Both parties should agree that fraudsters should...
Bruh, it's endless. But what we're noticing consistently is that it's not a little bit of corruption. It's a monstrous level of corruption. And a lot of it circles around the pardons. And frankly, Trump should be hit with a RICO charge because he basically constitutes organized crime. This is a continuing criminal enterprise. Shout out to Arturo. He writes, are only questions related to the topic of the stream allowed, or do you allow any questions? We allow any questions, and I'll tell you why, Arturo, because frankly, the people who send it in are serious about their question, so I want to answer it. I respect people who are serious. And also, within this thing of ours, we say show love to those who show love to you. There's thousands of people watching. They've never once supported, ever, and they never will. And that's okay. And it's not because they don't have money. It's just because their hearts, the nature of their heart. And that's okay. Those people exist. So if you have something that's meaningful to you and you want to ask, by all means, ask. And it'd be my pleasure to answer you. Absolutely. And I thank you for supporting. Bro, shit. Epstein Island-esque. Endless fraud.
Next, some dots. About 8 days ago, a U.S. federal judge ordered the sale of Citgo Petroleum Corp. Now, Citgo is a U.S.-based company. However, its parent company, PDVSA, is based out of Venezuela. Now, PDVSA and the Venezuela government owes a lot of money to a lot of people. And when I say a lot, I do mean billions. And that is the main reason why the federal judge forced the sale of Citgo to pay off those debts. Now, you can only imagine being the parent company in Venezuela having a U.S. federal judge force you to sell your company. So, of course, they denounced it and they plan on appealing. But the bigger picture is who they are being forced to sell to, which is Amber Energy. Now, Amber Energy is an affiliate of Elliott Investment Management Group, which just so happens to be an investment group that donated $7 million to Donald Trump's campaign. Wow. Not to mention the owner of that investment group, Paul Singer, donated $5 million himself. So shortly after the force of the sale of Citgo...
Listen, we talking big money here, man. We talking big money, and favors don't come cheap. But the thing is with Donald Trump, he might not guarantee any of his campaign promises, but if you got him in the office, you paid your $5 million, it looks like he could turn that $5 million into $100 million. And I think that it makes sense because it's not coming out of Donald Trump's pocket. It's coming out of the taxpayer's pocket. So it's really not an issue to him. Huh? Those are the only people he kept his promise to. But I guess you get what you paid for. Kinda. Not the taxpayers, but I tried. I tried to make it sound good. I don't know. Now, what I want you to notice about what this black guy just explained is that there is such a contrived shell game, and it's like all these schemes. It's like this company owns this company that owns this company that's owned by this guy, and he donated here, and he donated. And that's kind of why it's hard to unravel. It's complex. And most of the good things in life, like the truth, for example, like simplicity, and it's in the complexity that the average person kind of zonks out, and this is how the thieves get away with it. Sad.
The denouncing from the Venezuela government, then you have the boat strike, you have the season of the oil tanker, and my point is, do you still think it's about drugs? That's my whole point. Do you still think it's about drugs? Somewhere down the line, when it comes to U.S. and politics, it will always be about resources. And this one is oil.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's time to connect some.
Yeah, I agree with you, buddy. Absolutely. But I didn't even need that long explanation to figure that out.
He's going to get a third term. So Trump 28.
Now, this is the part that, listen, I can't deal with that. Because if he gets a third term, that means that the government from now till ever is controlled by Israel, is going to be completely corrupt. He cannot have a third term. And he's not popular enough in America to get a third term legally through the vote. He could only get a third term by swindling us, by not counting the votes. He is not popular. He's not done well for many people. Everything's more expensive. Life is harder.
Trump is going to be president in 28, and people just ought to get accommodated with that.
So what about the 22nd Amendment?
There's many different alternatives. At the appropriate time, we'll lay out what the plan is, but there's a plan. We
That's
had longer odds in 16 and longer odds in 24 than we got in 28. And President Trump will be the president of the United States.
No respect
and
for
the
the
country
law.
needs him to be president of the United States. We have to finish what we started.
What
Trump
did you
is
start?
a vehicle. I know this will drive you guys crazy, but he's a vehicle of divine providence. He's an instrument. He's very imperfect. He's not churchy, not particularly religious, but he's an instrument of divine.
Bro just said he's an instrument of God, but he don't believe in God. Man, if you guys don't knock it off. Said Trump's an instrument of God, not particularly churchy. You're not going to see him in church, but he's an instrument of God, I tell you. Yeah, okay, buddy. That makes perfect sense, you devil. Shout out to Mr. Reith. He writes, been saving the black code is mine on Tuesday. We are truly at war, and all the good peoples of the earth must take action, that, if only for your own good. When the day comes, I hope maybe all of my own are on code. Even if my own mother turns traitor, she is no longer kin. I'll do what I must. Bro, and it's really like that on God. He writes, props to MDB at all costs. Oh, he's props and support. Protect and support MDB at all costs. I appreciate you, brethren. And listen, I'm 100% going to need it. And at some level, we have evil within our midst. That's why I always tell people, it's not about your skin color. It's about the good peoples of the earth. I basically got death threats earlier today from a black female with a blonde wig on. You see what I'm saying? So I appreciate you, because someone who's mentally ill and they want to attack me or try to take my life, they're serious about it. They're going to come and try to do it. The problem is the good peoples were never as serious or willing to go to the lengths to protect as they are to take life. And that's the problem, is that we are not as ruthless as the evildoers are. And so we consistently lose. And I'm not into losing. Shout out to Darian. He writes, greedy, evil, ravenously so. These politicians, bruh. And it's so weird because he's not doing a good job. I just don't know what Trump thinks he's winning at. It's like, what are you winning at currently? Like, nothing is going well.
Divine will, and you can tell this of how he's pulled this off. We need him for at least one more term, right? And he'll get that in 28.
You're not driving me crazy. I'm really I'm trying to understand the coherence of the things you've just told me. On the one hand, you've said the Constitution is fit for purpose. Secondly, you've said that President Trump needs another term, even though the 22nd Amendment makes pretty clear that he cannot have another term.
Why does it make that clear?
Because he's on his second term already.
At some point in time,
he tried to get his lie together. He knows he's lying, and the Constitution does not matter. The Constitution matters to you passing your test in the 6th grade, but it doesn't matter in reality. Money, power, that's all that has ever mattered in any society on earth. There's just a handful of places where there's something called morality. And most of those places America is trying to eliminate as we speak.
in time, we will make sure we go through Zanny and define all those terms.
But you will be undermining the spirit of that amendment, even if you find some way around it.
If the American people, with the mechanisms we have, put Trump back in office, are the American people tearing up the Constitution? Would that be tearing up?
Well,
would the American people be going against the spirit of the Constitution, ma'am?
I think yes, actually, because I think what you are going to, you will end up with is a populist justification for a quasi-dictatorship.
That's not true at all.
It won't be quasi.
Well, it sounds like.
It won't be
Trump is a dictatorship. Did you just see the compromises he had to make on the big, beautiful bill? You see the compromises he has to do on everything, on accommodating
There's no compromise on the things that we care about. Those are all distractions. We care about the war in Iran. There was no compromise. He started it illegally, and it's carrying on. There's no compromise on the influence of Israel. It's been going on for decades.
Zelensky, on what President Trump is nothing but a series of negotiations to kind of keep this thing rolling forward, where he's having trade-offs all the time.
Steve, you've just spent the last 20 minutes telling me we have to smash the other side. There's no room for debate. There's no room for compromise. We must smash them. And now you're telling me this is a negotiation. I mean, that's
no.
I guess that's why it seems to me some kind of tension there.
The only way President Trump wins in 2028 and continues to stay in office is by the will of the American people. Okay? And the will of the American people.
Shorty is looking at him like, nigga, no. She's looking at him like, bro, you got to quit lying like that. You got to quit lying like that. You got to knock it off, man.
Is what the Constitution embodies. And so I think we're going to be in good hands there. We need to finish what we started.
What did you start, though? Like, that's... What did you start? Like, other than stealing? You definitely started stealing.
6 reasons why we need to keep bombing Nigeria. So in May of 2023, Nigeria opens the $20 billion Dangote refinery, the largest oil refinery in Africa. In September of last year, Nigeria stops importing refined oil from us, the United States.
That part.
The result, $3 billion in annual U.S. refined petroleum exports. Gone. Then starting around May 2024, Nigeria repeatedly votes at the UN in favor of Palestine's bid for full membership, fighting with the global south and breaking with U.S. and Israeli positions. Throughout 2024, Nigeria deepened economic cooperation with China, including multiple lithium and rare earth agreements with Chinese companies. China now controls critical mineral access in the world's 6th most populous nation, Africa's most populous nation. Also, throughout 2024, Nigeria expanded its currency swap agreement with China. Foreign trade began to increasingly be conducted in yuan and naira instead of U.S. dollars. This part's crucial. When countries stop using U.S. dollars, the U.S. doesn't just lose trade revenue, it loses leverage. And then this year, starting in January of 2025, Nigeria is at...
These are all very meaningful facts. As you guys know, I've been doing a lot on Nigeria. I've been on Nigerian television news networks. Nigeria matters a lot and will matter increasingly. So someone had asked the link for the quarter zip. It's at sasnbrand.com. If you go to the homepage, you click view all, it should be one of the first listings. But Nigeria is absolutely critical today and even more so tomorrow. By 2050, Nigeria will be the 3rd most populous country on earth. Nigeria obviously has been known for its oil historically. They're trying to diversify, and it should be easy to diversify with all the resources that they have and are discovering, including lithium and other materials critical for weaponry and as well for electric vehicles and all of the technology that we use today. In addition, they have, ground nuts, peanuts if you like, and other things, sorghum. So Nigeria has a lot of resources, but they also have a lot of work to do. They're not able to secure their territory. They have Boko Haram in the north. They just recently, in fact, kidnapped some school children and teachers as well. I do believe one teacher died in the process. But Nigeria, if they can figure out how to actually be able to control their land, which I think part of it will require cooperation with their neighboring countries, or expansion to control those countries, because basically they share too many borders. The Chad Lake Basin is very hard to defend. So there is a lot of change that has to occur. And of course, cultural revolution is needed there as well to deal with the corruption. People always point to poverty as a driver of corruption. I'd like to challenge that. I've been to countries that are quite poor where you didn't see the same level of corruption. America's not poor and you see extraordinary levels of corruption. That's never the whole story. But Nigeria is very promising. Instead of sending out raw commodities, they're creating new requirements. Tesla asked to basically monopolize the lithium mine. And then the Nigerian government said, no, you have to agree to this, this, and this. We're not exporting any raw materials. You have to put a plant here. You have to do this, this, and this. And Tesla was like, nah, we good. But that was great to see the Nigerian government stand up. The Dangote refinery is very well positioned, and Dangote also got into fertilizer. It's very timely because a lot of fertilizer comes out of Ukraine, so they can step into that empty spot. I want to say they're exporting about 3 million tons of fertilizer per annum. Dangote is also opening up a fertilizer plant in Ethiopia. If I was the Nigerian government, I probably would have tried to hamper that so that we could better monopolize. But, I'm sure that Dangote is very well connected. I understand that he comes from a wealthy family. And if you like these kinds of conversations about geopolitics in Africa, definitely check us out when we do our SAS in Africa talk. Usually me and Saleh, good brother, very successful. And we have some high-level talks. Carrying on.
Is admitted to BRICS as a partner country, aligning economically with China, Russia, all the countries, building alternatives to U.S. financial dominance. And then 2 months ago, in October of 2025, Russia and Nigeria signed and renewed nuclear project development agreements, giving Russia a foothold in Nigeria's energy infrastructure. And then in that very...
Let me tell you what's wild, though. And it is as wild as he is describing it as. Nigeria has the Chinese with a significant presence, the Americans with a significant presence, and also military cooperation. And this is very bad for Nigeria because they don't produce their own arms, which they absolutely should. In 2050, if they're one of the top 3 biggest countries, worst case, top 5 most populous country, they will be the only ones without nuclear weapons. America has nuclear weapons, China has nuclear weapons, Pakistan has nuclear weapons, India has nuclear weapons. The Nigerians will be the only ones. Not only does Nigeria not have nuclear weapons, they only produce small arms. They don't produce any, ballistic missiles, which we see from Iran are critical. They're producing, things comparable to an AK-47, handheld, handguns and things like this. And that's pretty bad. They need to fix that immediately. Also, they're having military cooperation with the United States, which at some level is going to underdevelop their military and their capacity. And also it'll make them vulnerable if they ever were to come into conflict with the United States. And I'd be worried about coming into conflict with the United States because the United States comes into conflict with everybody and they like to steal stuff. So, if you got like a cousin that's always stealing, you got to keep an eye on your shit when they're around. It just be like that.
Very month, completely unrelated, of course, the story becomes about Christian genocide. The U.S. designates Nigeria as a country of particular concern for religious freedom. Politicians like Ted Cruz are throwing around a made-up, arbitrary 50,000 deaths number. This is completely made up. And so 3 weeks after the Russia deal, Trump threatens Nigeria with military action. Then, of course, yesterday on December 25th, Trump decided to give Nigeria...
I'm just because he played that, we're done with him, just because of that.
Couldn't express gratitude more so for the opportunity to return to Venezuela under the stability that I know that this team and your team are.
So the funny thing is that this one is about Halliburton and an oil company returning to Venezuela. And it's only a reminder that the politicians don't work for you and I, they work for the corporations. So what you should be asking yourself is, shout out to 96 supporting the work, is, am I a corporation? Okay, so the government's not working for me. Can I create a corporation or an interest group or an organization so that I can get some resources and also not keep getting finessed? Because a lot of what's happening to you and I is we're getting finessed. Shout out to Darren's, just got the quarter zip. And that's a beautiful piece. You guys are going to love it. And it's a nice, like, upscale, classy quarter zip, especially in that color. And it's great quality material as well. Make sure you wash it when you first get it, because as you know, sweatshirts and things of the sort, they'll have those little fuzzies on the inside. So do wash it straight away. Shout out to Mr. Chambliss, came in supporting the work. He writes, sent a message and some support 1 hour before the live stream. Okay. Resend that so it can come to the top of the inbox. Arturo comes back via Venmo. He writes, one second. I work in an automotive dealership as a repair technician, looking to branch out on my own. Oh, you absolutely should. That's a fine profession. Obviously, as cars are increasingly technical, you become increasingly sophisticated. It's not what it used to be, in other words. He writes, looking to branch off on my own and open my own repair shop in the future. I'm really excited for you. What would you look for if you were looking for an alternate to the dealership? Someone who would someone you would trust to work on the Maybach. Well, you know, I probably would only take a Maybach to the company that produces it. And the reason for that is because due to it being so expensive, it's a very rare car comparatively. And because it's very rare, you want to take it to a place that kind of only deals with those kinds of cars or deals with a high volume of those kinds of cars. So that's what I would be looking for. And that would generally come with the maker of the car, unless you were a shop that focused on exotics and focused on high end. And then I'd be willing to do it. And it's really about trust. I'll give you an example. I took the Maybach in Miami to have like a minor fix and a scheduled maintenance. This was a minor cosmetic repair and a scheduled maintenance. And when I get it in there for the minor repair, which is covered under the warranty because it's a 2025 Maybach, the shop says, this is not covered under warranty. I was like, nah, that's for sure covered under warranty. He was like, no, because it looks like someone tried to fix it. Now, mind you, no one tried to fix it because I know it's under warranty. Like, why would I try to fix it? One, I don't know how to fix it. And two, I wouldn't try. It's under warranty. I'm going to use the warranty. So I was like, that's interesting. So I call up the other dealership, call up the Maybach folks in Northern Florida. And I tell the guy, hey, you know, this is what they're saying. Can you give them a ring for me? He's like, no problem. He calls down there. He says, hey, you know, what's going on with the car? And they say, oh, well, it's not under warranty because of X, Y, and Z. I don't know the nature of their conversation, but then Miami calls me back and they say, oh, it's going to get taken care of. Don't worry about it. They didn't admit to trying to finesse me and steal an extra $3,000 from me, but all of a sudden it was under warranty. That's consistently an issue in the automotive industry. And this was an established dealership. And frankly, they were probably looking at it like, generally they're going to finesse everybody, but definitely you got the Maybach. We're for sure finessing you because you can afford it. So looking for trust and references and predictability and consistency, I think is hugely important. And so that's going to come down to your marketing and reputation to start with. Thank you for that question. Carrying on.
Senator Crane has come here to offer your people a better way of life.
Better than what?
Better than what you have.
I like what I have.
Your people live in the Stone Age.
We're good here.
We live at the beginning of a great industrial revolution.
The United States government is offering you a piece of land of your own.
We have our own land.
On God, we do.
No, it's not yours.
Wait, whoa.
It's the U.S. government's.
How
Did
you
they
do
buy
that?
it?
No.
Did they trade for it?
It's not like that.
Then how can they own it?
I'm not talking about money for Greenland yet. I might talk about that. But right now, we are going to do something on Greenland, whether they like it or not. I would like to.
I think the only reason he didn't do anything on Greenland is because it's white. And for some reason, uniquely, the Russians have never really been accepted fully as white. I think that's because they are what makes it Eurasia. They kind of have the Asian blood. You know, you can see it in them a little bit. Maybe that's why they don't ever get fully accepted. I don't know. But the funny thing about that video is it highlights that the nature has not changed since the genocide of the Native Americans. And because they call it something else, you know, while we're watching it, we think it's something else. No, it's the same thing. It's genocide. It's crimes against humanity. We're just watching it and we think that these things only exist in history books. No, they're now in front of us and we're playing dumb. Yeah, we're playing dumb here. That's what's going on. Well, I mean, not all of us, just some of us.
We're Fox News, here at the site of what the liberal media...
Yep, okay. So, yeah, Fox News is a scam, but also so is CNN, and so are all the other ones. Carrying on.
Can ICE agents order you out of your car?
They can stop you. They can ask you a series of questions, but they can't force you out of the car. If they were to stop you, you can ask them at this point, am I under arrest? And if they say no, then you can say, am I free to leave? And you're free to leave. But they can't necessarily force you out of the car, and they don't have the right to basically detain you unless they have some type of reason to arrest you.
And this is the thing that annoys me about the West, is because all these people are liars. They try to make it seem like there's some level of legitimacy. You can say, am I being detained? And if they don't have probable cause, you can walk away. And then you're like, okay, well, what's probable cause? It's anything they say. So the person that is detaining me or would detain me, they get to decide what probable cause is with no check on it. So basically, if they want to keep me there, they can literally just make up stuff. Marquette, that's not how it works. No, actually, I was arrested like the day before Christmas for a DUI. Not only was I sober, I've been sober my whole life. But bro was over here like, you're high. High on what? Then he changed it to you're drunk. So yeah, they can literally make up stuff, and pretty much you're going to comply because they got a gun on them and they're willing to use it. And that goes. Everything else is fake. Shout to Starry Eye. He writes, I wanted to start an e-commerce consulting business. I feel like for discovery calls, me being black, they immediately wouldn't trust me on a Zoom call. Have you ever experienced this? And how, well, definitely is not an advantage. I can tell you that right now. It's not an advantage. I had one situation that I'll identify in brief, and it is really sad and is undeniable racism. I created the concept of effortless attendance. I went to Missouri State. I spoke with the president. I showed them the technology. I demoed it. It was extraordinary. It did exactly what I said. Everyone was impressed. And then he said, oh no, this seems invasive of privacy. I showed him like, hey, it's not invasive of privacy. This is why we deployed across the United States and in South Korea, and we're going to do it in China as well. And we do it in Puerto Rico already. He was like, nah, I don't know. Then 3 months later, I find out that they did a deal with a copycat company, which was run by some white guy who literally copied everything I did, down from the website to literally try to get our same investor. And that's how we found out that they had to deal with Missouri, because when he went to our investors saying, hey, this is what we do, similar to Fletch. Our investor was like, yeah, but since we invest in Fletch, we're not investing in you. You're the competition, and we ain't like that. And that's when I figured out that the president, I want to say his name was Jim Spain or Jeff Spain. He basically said, nah, N-word, I'm not going to buy this because you're an N-word. And then he bought the exact same inferior, less vetted technology from the person who did not invent it, who just copied what I did. To say I was like angry and hurt would be an understatement, but that's life. So there are going to be people who do business with you because you're good, because you're the best. And there'll be people like Pete Hegseth, Donald Trump, who are just not going to let you be promoted or succeed because you are black, specifically because you're black. It's a real thing. I experienced it. There's no logical reason why you would not buy the technology from the inventor. You buy it from the copycat. It just doesn't make sense. It's like turning down Nike to buy Pro Wings. It just is not sensible. So I say that to say this. Other things I did is I utilized white women's identity. I had other companies, my sales force was largely white women. I had other companies where my fundraising was done through white women, and it worked out a lot better. I'm not going to lie to you. That is the real world that we live in. And so you just got to operate. If you have the will to win, you're going to win. I'm about to go work on some deals over the next week that are, in the range of, on the low side, 9 million, on the high side, 15 million. And I can't paint myself white, and I can't send a white woman to work on a deal that big because I need to do this myself. So it just is what it is. If they don't want to do the deal, then the deal doesn't get done. I go increase the pipeline. That's all you can do is try to increase that pipeline, and work your butt off and try to be clever. Simple.
Can ICE go into schools on private property
If they try to enter your private property or private space of a school or anything like that, the school has the perfect constitutional right to say you may not enter unless you have a search warrant.
So he's telling you what's supposed to happen. I think the president was supposed to get congressional approval for going into war. Who knows, right? Who knows? There's a lot of things that are supposed to happen. I wouldn't count on what's supposed to happen in a Donald Trump administration. Shout out to Wayne. He writes, more tuition for this informative live stream. I appreciate you. I also acknowledge Mark. He writes, came in a strong way via PayPal. He writes, peace of the saints. May you continue to be the light for all of the black peoples of the earth. The work you're doing is amazing and deserves more support. Thank you for being the epitome of what a great man is. I appreciate you. That really means a lot. It really does touch my heart. And I thank you for your support. And birds of a feather flock together. And we got a lot of work to do, and we shall get it done. Mr. Chambliss writes, you did get it. Thanks. Okay, fantastic. Okay. Yes, indeedy. Happy to hear it. Carrying on.
Signed by a real judge.
Can ICE detain U.S. citizens?
That's all games. I don't even want to hear no more about that. That's games. Donald Trump's spiritual leader. Oh, yeah. And this is, again, I tell you guys that these people are all a part of the same evil clique. Donald Trump's spiritual leader, Robert Morris, was just sentenced to only 6 months in prison after pleading guilty to 5 counts of abusing a 12-year-old. Oh, man, this stuff, man, it's like you can only take so much of this evil before you crack or snap. It just gets me so mad because I don't understand why you would want to lay down with a 12-year-old. Their body's not even shaped like anything. You have to be a sick pervert, an evil person. And frankly, prison is not enough. We need a real solution for these people. It just gets me so mad. And if you're doing something like that, they're going to reoffend. We might as well take care of them right now.
So you know Nigeria pretty well.
I do.
What is the truth about what's going on?
Well,
and I ask because you've got credibility. You know the country, and you're spending the rest of your life defending Christians around the world. Tell me what the actual truth of Christian persecution in Nigeria is.
Let's be very clear that the Nigerian government is populated by Christians and Muslims.
Mm-hmm.
I have represented in his earlier life the national security advisor of Nigeria when he was a young man, and he's a lovely individual, and caring and universally respected in terms of religious issues. Devout Muslim, but universally respected. In my adopted family in Lagos, the Odesanya family sort of adopted me when I was a very, very young man, and living there. I sort of have a half brother there, Dapo Odesanya. That family is a totally integrated family, Muslim, Christian. I was always teased that I was a Yoruba, which is a Jewish Yoruba.
That was crazy.
But I mean, there have always been tribal conflict. I spoke to the foreign minister before I came here because I wanted to get clarity on the government's position. Absolutely, let's be clear, President Tinubu's wife is a Christian pastor. This is not
fraudulent,
targeted at Christians.
So President Tinubu's wife is a Christian. You see, religion, anywhere you find it, is pretty much corrupt. It's all corrupted, pretty much anywhere you find it. And you know what? This world, I'm not going to lie, it sometimes makes me so sad. That's why, of course, you can tell that I study a lot, which is why I am knowledgeable about geopolitics, but it is not without sadness. In fact, it is mostly with great heaviness that I study these things. The behaviors of human beings is so filthy and disgusting most of the time. So filthy and disgusting most of the time. And that is why truly I believe that it's important to make every effort to be around good people so you don't have to live in constant paranoia Is this person going to steal from me? Is this person going to take advantage of my wife? Is this person going to take advantage of my children? Can I let my wife go to the grocery store by herself? Mr. Johnson, I did get your email about amending the address. It has been amended. You are all set. Thank you for that note.
Christians. There are probably an equal or more number of Muslim deaths. I am grateful to President Trump for identifying these attacks on Christians. Believe it or not, you can blame some of this on the French, who had this.
I do. I know nothing about it, but I believe you anyway.
They had a massive force in the Sahel. They armed the Tuaregs, which are a notoriously aggressive tribal group.
He said you can blame the French. He's basically saying that the Europeans have done what they do, which is to meddle in the affairs of others, typically for the purpose of stealing resources. And the French have armed a dangerous band of folks who are doing what the French are paying and arming them to do. But as much as you can blame the French, you can probably blame the Americans, you can blame the Brits, you can blame the Italians and the Germans. And they're just competing with one another to loot and rob Africa. And the problem is that the Africans collaborate with them sometimes. You know, they have a Zulu mentality, some of them. Shout out to Mr. Dale, who came in using the Stripe link, supporting the work. We appreciate you. Carrying on.
Group. That arming has led to mass killings of Christians. The fact that when Libya blew apart, a massive amount of arms went down to Boko Haram can't be denied by anyone. Nigeria wants to consult with the United States. Nigeria wants assistance in protecting Christians and Muslims.
No, when you say Nigeria, you're talking about the Nigerian government, and the Nigerian government wants assistance in maintaining its power. So, you know, that's kind of what all governments want, is to maintain their power and maybe expand it if possible. I think it's a meaningful note he shared that the dissolution of the Libyan regime, or let's say government, caused stockpiles of weapons to be looted or maybe distributed. And many of them ended up in the hands of Boko Haram. There's no doubt that the United States is responsible for that under Barack Obama and Hillary Clinton, because they are the ones who engaged in a illegal attack on Libya and caused not only for the distribution of weapons throughout the region, but also the start of open air slave markets of black Africans in Libya. And that is your boy Barack Obama, who's responsible for the re-enslavement of black man and woman. Shout out to Star Eye. He comes back. Starry Eye. He writes, appreciate that, brother. You sound so professional when you talk and speak with conviction. I had people try to sell me something over the phone and they're not even articulate. And if you push back on their pitch, they say, and break down. Yeah, that's average people. And that's the beautiful thing about this culture of ours, Assassin, is that we really prize excellence and we train for excellence. And most of the education that I put out, I do it with a specific outcome in mind. I want you all to be trained up to achieve at the highest level. I want all of us to be happy, healthy, and wealthy, and to be even more wealthy through our unity, and for us to have a pool of men, women, and children who are productive, and we can hire each other and we can rise up together. So absolutely. I thank you for the compliment. And the beautiful thing about this world that we are in, where mediocrity reigns, is that it's easier to do well because you're going up against those who are truly inferior. The only challenge is when the game itself is rigged, and that's precisely why we have to unseat characters like Donald Trump, who are riggers of the game.
Protecting their populations. Nigeria feels it has not had a fair shake from Washington. And I'm not, I don't work for Nigeria. I'm not going to go on and on. The foreign minister is a close friend who I respect deeply. But I can tell you from my work, I was privileged to represent one of the Nigerian states years ago, Akwa Ibom. We won a case actually for them. The Nigerians would welcome American assistance.
You know, the funny thing is we know what ethnicity this gentleman is. And so he's a certain kind of character working in Nigeria, within Nigeria, and on behalf of Nigeria. And it just shows that people know how to play politics. They know that you hire this guy not only because he's maybe a competent attorney, but he's well connected, and he also is a part of that exclusive chosen few. And that's going to get you some mileage and get you some privilege. And that's why within this thing of ours, Assassin, is that we're erecting the same kind of interest group where we have power and we can support one another and get each other advantage. That's what it's about. Not like everyone else is just happy being the unchosen. No, I'm not with that. Absolutely not. Yeah, so that was after the Renee Good killing by ICE, when the United States was up in arms with various protests throughout the country. And again, the hypocrisy. They claim that the population in Iran is rising up against their rulers, wherein the exact same thing is happening in the U.S. And in addition to that, you had what was called the No Kings protests, which was throughout the United States and very well attended, I might add. Shout out to Mr. Sanders supporting the work, came in using the Stripe link. I appreciate you. Carrying on. Okay, I don't even want to click this one. I don't know what they're going to say, but basically another person that Trump pardoned, he was a January 6th, he was taking advantage of a child, and it was actually a male child, which just is like doubly disgusting. And this is the kind of thing that it's kind of weird how these people seem to support each other. And Trump pardoned them. So it's like, wow, these guys all seem to have the same kind of character and the same kind of inclination. I'm almost wondering, like, how do they find each other?
David Gentile, the former CEO of GBP Capital, he was convicted of a $1.6 billion with a B fraud. He defrauded thousands of investors, including the elderly. He served a grand total of 2 weeks of his 7-year sentence before he was pardoned. 2 weeks. And of course, a pardon wipes out all the restitution that Gentile, who was convicted of the $1.6 billion fraud, owed.
Oh, so he gets to keep
owes
the money.
nothing. He walked out after 2 weeks.
Damn.
So don't tell me this is a law and order, this is a law and order administration. David Gentile, the former CEO of GBP Capital.
Rough.
Breaking news, Philip S. Formes, a Zionist Jewish businessman from Florida who pulled off the biggest healthcare fraud in U.S. history.
In U.S.
ripping off over $1 billion from Medicare and Medicaid with fake bills.
Now, here's the thing. Trump was saying that the Somalis are ripping off Medicare and Medicaid. He's saying the Somalis are a weight to the public system. They're eating at the public trough. He's saying that the blacks from Haiti are the ones that are robbing our welfare system. But this fella took $1 billion. This is just one guy. But that's okay. Not only is it the one guy, but you pardon him. So it's like you're okay with it. The hypocrisy is endless. We are reaching a time where the truth doesn't matter. Only action matters. And what I'm describing to you guys is a methodology. When I say co-locate, this is just one step. We need to hurry up. We got to hurry up. We need urgency. That's just one step. There's so many more steps. You're going up against a country that has the most powerful military and has exceeded every other country in military spending for decades. There are more steps to get ready for this. Whew. Just imagine how stupid you look when you go into Walmart and you can't pay for all your groceries, but you've been paying into a tax system where Trump lets one guy walk away with $1 billion and you don't even have health care. Oh, man. Listen to me. Enough for today. We've been going for nearly 4 hours and I haven't even gotten through all of Trump's crimes. We may have to come back another time. Ladies and saints, until next time, peace of the saints.